Chapter 6247. Chapter 6247. Miss enough. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily. It stopped Xiangyang from venting. It's almost done. There's no need to whip the corpse all the time. The anger is gone. Otherwise, the anger will hurt the body, and it will not be good for future practice. Learn to hold your breath. No, one more. Xiangyang took the knife and walked towards Master Lu. Old man, when you stripped my clothes, you were very happy. In fact, Master Lu didn't have any extra words for them. It was lunatic Yang who tortured Xiangyang and Jian Wushuang all the time. That's because Xiangyang first got Lu Susu's approach. Killing Master Lu depends on the situation. If it is in the wilderness, no one is around. And if you kill it, you will kill it. Now it seems unnecessary to kill Lu Yi in front of Lu Susu and Hu San. It's better to appease these people and let them use it for their own use. To divide the treasure and run away. Otherwise, he and Xiangyang would not be able to take so many gold and silver jewelry with him. The cultivation path does not require these. But if you want to embark on the cultivation path, you still have to become rich first. Two stinky beggars are not qualified to ask for directions. But Xiangyang didn't care about this at this time, and he was about to chop off Master Lu with his sword. Lu Susu has a kind heart, and definitely doesn't want her adoptive father to be hacked to death by the beloved. So she rushed over to grab the knife. Go away! Xiangyang looked like a scum at this time, and pushed Lu Susu away, just like Lu Sangongzi. Hu San saw this, and when he went up he kicked Xiangyang. The knife in his hand also fell off at this time. Lu Ye's hands were fast and his eyes were quick, and he was about to fight back with a knife. But Jian Wushuang wasn't a decoration either. With a sword drawn, the tip of the sword pierced Master Liu's wrist. Old guy, you better be honest. He didn't say much hatred towards Master Lu. He didn't kill him, and he felt that the other party would be useful in the future. But Hu San felt that he was going to kill them all, and immediately shouted angrily. Jian Wushuang, you promised me something. Don't worry, I won't break my promise. His tone was indifferent. Isn't it a woman? He is not as shameless as Xiangyang, and he can't do the thing of killing the donkey. But at this moment, Xiangyang got up angrily. Picking up the knife, he slashed at Lu Yi. Tiger's three-pointed heart is too late to stop. But Lu Susu blocked it. The knife slashed directly on Lu Susu's neck. The blood spurted out instantly. The blood poured out and sprinkled Xiangyang's face. The tiger's three eyes suddenly shrank. Xiangyang! He almost yelled, raising the stick. At this moment he ignored him and rushed straight to Xiangyang. With the stick down, Xiangyang is absolutely doomed. Jian Wushuang had to make a move. Before the stick fell on Xiangyang's head, he cut off Hu San's arm with the sword. The stick and arm fell to the ground. Hu San was unwilling to cry in the end. Lu Susu was dead. Master Lu was sitting on the ground slumped, holding Lu Susu in his arms. He was stunned, but he also had tears in his eyes at this moment. Xiangyang, however, just like a normal person, nodded at Jian Wushuang and said, Swordsmanship is good. Having said that, I want to start again. Jian Wushuang couldn't stand it any longer. Almost there. Because those porters are just around the corner. He was afraid that if Xiangyang continued to kill like this, the porter would riot. I don't know who said that if Lu Sangong dies here, they will all be finished. Now looking at him and Xiangyang one by one, not for anything else, just to save their lives, I want to send the two of them to the government. There is no way that these people have been weak since they were young. Otherwise they would not be bullied like Madman Yang, and would not dare to resist. Being able to be hostile to them at this time is entirely to fight for their own lives. It is also sad to say, Jian Wushuang wiped the blood from the blade. In fact, these porters can no longer threaten the two of them. With a sword in hand, killing these people is not difficult. But there is no need to do so. Everyone is fine. I'll give you a path to wealth. On that warship, there are gold and silver jewels that you can enjoy. You can take money and go to the other side of the sea to live anew. Jian Wushuang grasped the key point, and after some analysis, all the porters were moved. You are all hard-working people with no parents and no parents. The wages for working here are so good. Why don't you just leave? Changing the status quo is the greatest resistance. It's just that these people need people to teach. With his few words, these people believed directly. The key Jian Wushuang didn't lie to them either. Let Xiang Yang look at the weak Lu Yi and the seriously injured Hu San. He took the porter to distribute the gold and silver jewelry. Jian Wushuang didn't want much, just a small boat, 100 taels of gold, and some precious jade. The rest were distributed to porters, unattended with gold and silver. The minds of these porters also became active. They put some available goods at the dock onto the ship. And it's fast. They moved the things in the warehouse clean. There is no way that they are professional. With these things, you can't starve to death for 2 years at sea. And they are at the pier all the year round. And naturally they will sail. Set to sail. Those shipmates were all killed. In fact, these people are not a threat. There is no threat to Jian Wushuang. And naturally he will not die. But these porters also became ruthless. Kill those boat guys. Got 7 or 8 merchant ships and 1 warship. Hundreds of people set sail so far. Looking at the boats leaving the dock, Jian Wushuang was not happy for these people. Rather sad for those who are about to be oppressed by these people. The sky gradually darkened. Inside the bamboo house, Jian Wushuang helped Hu San to bandage the wound. As for Master Lu, who was tied upstairs by Xiang Yang, and even the ugly woman was by Xiang Yang. Jian Wushuang, what do you think this is? Xiang Yang ran into the house from the outside with a happy face, holding 2 robes in his hands. That's what they were wearing when they came. Jian Wu didn't lift his double eyelids, and said indifferently, "What use are these things? TSK, although we are down. But this outfit represents our past and represents the future. We can't let these people waste it." After he finished speaking, he threw Jian Wushuang's clothes over. "Guess whose room these clothes are in?" "Tiger 3. How do you know?" Xiang Yang was surprised. Jian Wushuang shrugged and said indifferently, "I guess." Actually he saw it. Hu San had told him at the beginning that he would return the clothes to them when he left. The 3 beheaded tigers are simple and honest, but they are actually careful. The other party felt that his and Xiang Yang's identities were not simple. Don't want them at the dock. So as not to cause trouble for Master Lu. Thinking of finding a chance to let them go. Unexpectedly, this scourge did not break out from the outside, but from the inside. "Xiang Yang, pack up, why don't you leave tonight?" "It is good." Xiang Yang nodded heavily. After venting during the day, Xiang Yang now has some reason. There are also ambitions. But this kind of ambition may bring great changes to the world. Maybe there will be a demon in this world in the future. Bring endless destruction. Looking at Xiang Yang's back, Jian Wushuang turned to look at Hu San lying on the ground, and said sincerely, "Hu San, I'm sorry this time." 4229/10565729. Chapter 6248. Chapter 6248 Commitment. I originally thought of a perfect plan, but it turned out to be an accident. Now it's done. He had forgotten that he hadn't said sorry to anyone for a long time. Last time, it seemed to be in the northern time and space. In Qi Shrine. In the blink of an eye, many years have passed. And this time he said sorry to a mortal. Hu San, who was on the ground, felt that his life was over, and said coldly, "Jian Wushuang, I don't blame you, kill me. You think too much. If I kill you, I won't help you bandage your wounds." Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. He took out a purse from his pocket. There are 50 taels of gold in it. When we leave, you can take Master Lu to find a place to retire. Or you can choose to leave the world alone. Jian Wushuang took off a jade pendant from the honorable clothes he brought, and said solemnly, "I will pay back what I owe you if you die. I will give this jade pendant to the person closest to you. Sooner or later I will do it." Still, Hu San was stunned when he heard this. Jian Wushuang left the bamboo building with his clothes. When he came to the well again, he took off his clothes, and washed the blood off his body with cold well water. Put on the honor clothes, and tear off the extra graceful parts. It was changed to a strong suit, which is also in line with the current environment. After packing up, Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang left Qishui Pier that night. They took a small boat, and did not go to the other side of the sea. The so-called Paradise Datong is not the place they are going. Instead it went upstream towards Yongcheng. The boat entered the canal along the coast. After paying the money on the road, they entered the inland unimpeded from the canal. Binhai House is huge. There are 4 county towns. Yongqing is one of them. It is also the forefront of Binhai's external world. There are 3,000 sergeants sitting here. Lu Sangong was originally one of the 3 captains. But go to find a way out for the powerful, and lose yourself. At this time, I am afraid that the powerful people do not know. Jian Wushuang's destination is Yongqing. According to his idea, it is to integrate into some local dignitaries first, to inquire about the true appearance of this world, at least to get a big map first. But they didn't find out until they went ashore and went to a small town. Maps are control products. Ordinary people simply can't get it. No way. Jian Wushuang can only buy 2 fast horses and take Xiangyang into Yongqing first. The canal can actually go directly to Yongqing, but for the sake of safety, Jian Wushuang chose to go on land. But after walking like this, he accidentally encountered a mountain bandit. When the 2 passed through a bamboo forest, they were stopped by a group of people. I drive this road, this tree. Needless to say, everyone came out to run the rivers and lakes. There is some money here. It's a treat for you to have a drink. Jian Wushuang interrupted the opponent directly and threw a money bag. There are 20 taels of silver in it, which they exchanged on the silver horn. After all, gold is too precious to be taken out to be eye-catching. So I exchanged banknotes and silver. Seeing Jian Wushuang's approachable appearance, the bandit also bowed his hands and said politely, "Brother Tai is refreshing. If this place is not desolate, you must invite your brothers to drink a good glass of wine. Since the 2 brothers are in a hurry, then next time." When he was done, he left the road. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yangang prepared to go. There was a cold arrow in front of him. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang's reaction was fast enough, and he avoided it by mistake. But Xiang Yang in the back doesn't have this movement technique. Luckily, the arrow hit the horse's leg. Lai Ma was frightened, and Xiang Yang didn't sit still and fell directly. Then more arrows came towards them. The bandits were taken aback. "No, it's the person from the Yaman's door," everyone is screaming. But as soon as they withdraw Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang, they are out of luck. To avoid the arrows, both fast horses were shot. He beckoned Xiang Yang to escape with the bandits and couldn't stay where he was. Even if he wasn't a bandit, he would probably be slaughtered as a hemp bandit. Must be avoided. Don't think that those people in the government are good people. These are times of turmoil. Bandits are everywhere. There is definitely something strange about exterminating the bandits here. And no matter whether it is 3,721, it is not an ordinary shop, and it must be sending troops. If they stay put, they will be questioned if not shot. At that time, there is no way to say why, they are both finished. No way, neither of them has a clear identity. You can only follow the bandits and flee up the mountain. The key is that they run faster than those bandits. When the bandit chief who blocked the road earlier saw this, he was surprised. "You too, you are also on the road." "Hee, there's no other way." "Well, just eat. And besides, there's no good people at the gate of the yamen. If the 2 of us stay where we are, what kind of hats will we be put on?" As soon as he heard this, the bandit leader admired Jian Wushuang even more, and took the initiative to solicit. "If the 2 brothers don't have a place to live, why don't you follow me to the small pier?" Pier. Hearing the dock, Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang's heads are big. But there is no other good way. Can only bite the bullet and agree. These bandits are very familiar with the road on the mountain. Take them 3 turns and 2 turns to get rid of those chasing soldiers. After walking for another hour, they arrived at the small pier that the bandit chief said. Only when Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang came here did they understand why this place was called a small wharf. Because it's really small. There is only one large warehouse with sheds, and a port that can dock 3 ships. This is a riverside pier. It is not comparable to the Chishui Wharf where they are located. But one thing is much stronger than Chishui Wharf. These bandits returned to the pier, commensurate with the fellow porters and coolies, and even some bandits had put down their spears and knives, and immediately went to the pier to help. It's as if they were all coolies. Let the 2 brothers laugh. In fact, we are not some heinous gangsters, just some coolies to make a living. How come? Jian Wushuang shook his head. This is much stronger than those so-called regular docks. At least these porters won't be whipped or bullied. Also somewhat ironic. But then I heard that the goods on these merchant ships were all snatched. Jian Wushuang put away the idea just now. However, being able to see these people working so happily is always better than the original dock. Chatted with some bandit leader. Both sides reported their home. Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang call themselves ocean thieves. He came from the Tang dynasty in the East China Sea and wanted to live in a certain country in you. When I heard it was from the Tang dynasty, the bandit leader Scarbolt suddenly became interested. Brother from the Tang dynasty, this feeling is good. Scarbolt hurriedly took the two to the warehouse. In addition to storing supplies, there is also a long table, which is 7 or 8 feet long, and can seat dozens of people. 4229/10565730. Chapter 6249. Chapter 6249. Into the bandit den to the warehouse. Scarbolt greeted them one by one. Second Master. Brother Knife. Embolus. One by one, Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang couldn't help but laugh. From the introduction of the other party, they learned that there are not only bandits, but also their families here. There are only 100 people who can rob, but the family to be cared for is as many as 600 people. There's no way. If we don't do this business in this era, survival is a problem. And they are still thieves. They are all merchant ships or official ships. The main ordinary people also have no oil and water to fish for. Scarbolt took them to a separate small living room and greeted the two to sit down. You guys rest first. I'll call my big brother over. We'll have a good drink today. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang couldn't help swallowing. The two of them couldn't go to the restaurant to have a good meal because they were in a hurry. I thought about going to Yongqing to eat meat and drink. Unexpectedly, he was robbed by bandits. Let's robbery. And we also encountered officers and soldiers who suppressed the bandits. Accidentally entered this bandit den. Watching Scarshuan leave, Xiangyang licked his lips and joked. I didn't expect that the first meal of wine and meat was eaten here. The two, who have not eaten meat for more than a month, are drooling over the pork snacks. And they can't wait at this time. I forgot, this is a bandit den. Don't be afraid that the other party will kill the two of them. This time they didn't think much of it. The other side didn't have so many. It didn't take long for him to see Scarshuan walking over with his big brother. In Xiaowangluan I met two brothers. Undersword Xiangyang. The two also spoke at the same time. In a kind of dialogue with the atmosphere of rivers and lakes, he talked with the other party for a long time. In fact, there is nothing to talk about. The main reason is that Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang don't know what Datong has at all. Just make up at will. Fortunately, this is the mundane world. These bandits have never even left Binhai Mansion. How can they know what the Tang dynasty looks like? So Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang started to blow their minds. At the end of the blow, both of them forgot what they said before, resulting in a lot of loopholes. Fortunately, everyone drank a lot of wine, and they were vague. Talk all night. They made up a bunch of lies, in exchange for real feelings. After drinking it, Scarshuan and Wangluan pulled them and began to swoop. From this small pier, there are 4 masters. The big boss Wangluan, the second master Jian Wushuang, the third master Knife Scarbolt, the fourth master Xiangyang. Hundreds of bandits under his command shouted one by one. This also made Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang feel the long-lost respect. It seems to have found some of the original places. Apart from these, they also understood some things about Bin Heifu today. For example, in the 4 major cities, only Yongqing was actually stationed with soldiers and horses. The other 3 major cities can be said to have been evacuated long ago. They all followed the sea and fled to the Tang dynasty. Before leaving, in order to take away enough treasures, the canal was transporting those wealthy belongings overnight. That's why they were able to make a fortune and support hundreds of people. The reason why there are officers and soldiers to suppress the bandits during the day is because they rob the gold and silver of the powerful. Jian Wushuang heard the words, and with his own eloquence, he regained some confidence for them. Brother Wangluan, you can't say that. You have to think about it. These gold and silver are the fat of the people. and it is the rich and powerful who have scratched the people. It is only right and proper for us to rob them back. Chong, how can there be enough people in Bailai now? We want to expand the team and make the small wharf into a big wharf. Didn't you say what port is upstream? Let's grab it according to that. His words made everyone's blood boil. A huge territory also came out of his mouth. First grab Shajia town, then Shijiaku, and then go north to take the entire blood port. By then the entire canal will be ours. If you have money, recruit troops and horses, and the elder brother will be the emperor. Isn't it a pleasure? Said to be happy. But Jian Wushuang didn't take into account that he drank alcohol. He is immortal now, and after drinking, he will be dizzy. But others believed. Especially Xiang Yang, he is not interested in cultivation anymore. Be the king. Be the king. Wang Luan lost himself in the process of becoming an emperor. Even with the scar bolt, he shook Jian Wushuang's arm and said, Brother Wushuang, what about me? Can I be the prince? Forehead. The wine is over. It was the next morning. Jian Wushuang woke up groggy. I found myself lying in a huge room, underneath his soft animal hide. He got up, only to feel his throat burning and thirsty. He quickly stood up, ran to the table, picked up a pot of tea and poured it into his stomach. After a few gulps, I felt relieved. I don't know how much I drank yesterday, and I feel a headache when I wake up. Shaking his head, he leaned on the hide. He just remembered what he said yesterday. Immediately, I felt a sense of gaffe and some regrets. However, he also learned about Jiang's foreign world from Wang Lun's mouth. The place where they are located is called Kixwanzu. Kixwanzu is close to the sea. There are 7 major countries in the entire jurisdiction. Jiangguiwei and Jiangwo are among them. As for the Tang dynasty, that is another continent called Zhongshenzhao. Rumor has it that there is a continent inhabited by gods. I don't know how many times bigger than Kixwanzu. I was so happy at the wine table yesterday that I forgot about the practice of the road. Now that I think about it, I regret it. I knew that there were immortals in central China. Why he was still waiting here. To become bigger and stronger is not his goal. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but tap his head. At this time the door was opened. A simple-looking little girl came over with a water basin. Second master, are you awake? The little girl was very well-behaved and a little shy. She walked to Jian Wushuang, put down the water basin, took out a hand towel, and then wiped Jian Wushuang's face. Jian Wushuang quickly stopped the opponent. No, I'll do it myself. He took the hand towel and wiped his face, regained consciousness and said, Are you a native? Family member? The little girl shook her head and said, No, I am a maid who was rescued by Brother Xuanzi from the landlord's house. Brother Xuanzi asked me to serve the second master. Then what's your name? Second master, just call me Qing. Saying that the little girl was about to step forward. Jian Wushuang was also someone who had seen the big scene, but he always resisted a little girl, and quickly waved his hand to let him down, and asked Xiang Yang to come over by the way. Don't ask Xiang Yang to become the 4th master in the mouth of the other party. A meal of wine, stunned to give his seniority a grade. But on second thought, he has lived for many epochs. It is not a disadvantage for the other party to call his ancestors. After Qinger left for a while, the door was opened again. 4229/10568388. Chapter 6250. Chapter 6250. Are you serious? I saw Xiang Yang walking over with a big body holding his waist, and there was a maid beside him. A look of the old wealthy landlord. You go out first, I'll talk to Xiang. 4th master about something. The little maid was very obedient, and after agreeing softly she left. Xiang Yang felt a little out of place, and said a little displeased, Brother Wushuang, there is no need. Everyone is his own. As he spoke, he picked up the teacup and took a sip. Jian Wushuang was both angry and funny. Xiang Yang, are you going to be a bandit on the mountain? Of course not. Xiang Yang hurriedly shook his head, but Jian Wushuang almost dropped his jaw in shock. Our ambition is to build a dynasty. Didn't you finish all the arrangements yesterday? Wang Luan is the emperor, Scar Xuan is the prince, you are the general, and I am the prince. Jian Wushuang pointed at Xiang Yang, hating iron for not being steel. Then you won't stop me? I stopped, but I can't stop it. No way. I drank a bit too much at that time. Jian Wushuang couldn't blame Xiang Yang anymore, so he could only shake his head with a wry smile, and took another sip of tea. Seeing this, Xiang Yang sighed. You drank too much yesterday. I kept giving you a wink, but you just didn't see it. The emperor asked brother Wang Luan to do it. I have no objection, but the position of the prince cannot be given to a knife scar. Bolt. Hearing this sentence, Jian Wushuang spit out the tea that he had not swallowed. The emotional partner is blocking this. Why are we here? Jian Wushuang said solemnly. It's not for the sake of becoming bigger and stronger, and it's not for the sake of some prince. We're here to embark on the path of cultivation. That's still a long way off. Xiang Yang has a bad attitude. While the two were arguing, hearty laughter came from outside. Hearing the voice, he knew it was Wang Luan. Two brothers but sober. Wang Luan strode in, with Scar Bolt behind him, with a sleepy-eyed Meng Song, apparently just pulled up. Big brother. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang quickly stood up. Well, sit down and say, everyone is on your own. As soon as Wang Luan stretched out his hand, he really looked like a dragon. The four were seated. Wang Luan poured the tea himself. After the division, he said, yesterday was a bit rash. Blame me, I'm a little abrupt. Jian Wushuang just wanted to say something. After all, yesterday's words were so crazy. It made people feel that they had no music. Unexpectedly, Wang Luan lowered his voice and said, Brother Wushuang, I can't blame you for this, but I can't say it in front of so many people. We have to talk behind closed doors. After hearing about this, Xiang Yang and Scar Xuan were no longer sleepy. In particular, Scar Xuan is still thinking about his own prince. I have already sent my brothers to step on the spot in Shajia town. There are not many people at the Yamen, but Shijiaku is indeed an important place. If we can win it, we can win 20% of the merchant ships. Enough for us to expand our team of 3,000 people. Wang Luan was right. Obviously yesterday's words also stimulated him. I really feel like I can do it myself. He has a good personality, and his subordinates admire him very much. Yesterday, Wang Luan made a statement that Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang became the two newcomers directly, and everyone had no opinion. Of course, some people will feel unconvinced, and this requires Jian Wushuang to settle with Xiang Yang. I heard the chat about Shajia town. Jian Wushuang thought about it. They passed by there. The boat also stayed there, although it did not stay for too long. But Shijiaku is one of the 6 ports of the canal. After winning, you can indeed grab 20% of the merchant ships. But there is also a problem. There are 5 more holes. At that time, when the merchant ships take other openings, they are equivalent to guarding the dead. In addition, the nearby official road can transport troops from far away, and they can be taken down at any time. The biggest advantage is that Shijiaku is connected to the downstream Chishui wharf, where to get geared up and head out to sea. In other words, they occupied the Xia family, and the things they grabbed were the powerful. How could these powerful people let them go? At that time, we will definitely send troops to suppress the bandits. Not to mention Shijiaku, but to say that Xiaoquan did such a thing, and it attracted officers and soldiers to suppress bandits. If Shijiaku is taken down, I am afraid that the bosses from Yongqing will send elite troops to encircle and suppress them. This is a rat trap. After stating the benefits, however, Wang Luan was confident and said, I forgot to tell you that the reason why the small wharf can grab the boat of the powerful every time is that I actually have someone to help me inside. Internal. As soon as Xiang Yang heard the interest, his mind also turned, his eyes lit up, and he said in surprise, Isn't eldest brother bribed by some big man in Yongqing? To tell the truth, there is indeed a big man who supports me. Otherwise I robbed so much gold and silver. I can expand, but I am afraid of which big man is afraid, so I dare not expand, but with 2 brothers I can. Great job. Wang Lun's eyes revealed madness, but also a huge ambition. Wang Luan was young, only in his early 30s. After a few days of private acquaintances, I know when I should come out. In fact, without what Jian Wushuang said, He was thinking about whether to expand his manpower and give himself a certain wealth in a troubled world. How long can a gangster be? There is a family behind you, so you can't hide all the time. And Vietnam is about to call. It is only a matter of time before the world is settled, and there will still be a way for them to survive then. If you want to survive, you must prepare the layout early. At first, he was very excited when he heard Scarshuan say that Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang were from the Tang dynasty, because he can arrange the family members to go to Tang dynasty and use the looted money to buy property. At that time, when Yugua came to call, he could pat his and leave. But now he has changed his mind. Who wants to leave their homeland if they do well in their hometown? If you can stand firm in your hometown, there is no need to travel far away. It's a bit abrupt to start a dynasty, but in this chaotic world, the two brothers don't want to find an identity for themselves, some rich and famous? Wang Lun's words can stimulate any mortal, but not Jian Wushuang. However, there are also oil heads that can cooperate. He and Xiang Yang entered Binhai Mansion and went to Yongcheng, not just to embark on the path of cultivation. If you can take the path of cultivation, you must at least meet the practitioners first, or be able to help practitioners. Get the other person to notice you. At present, he heard that the person with a name and a surname who can become a practitioner is the king of Xiaoliang. As for the immortals of the Tang dynasty mentioned by Wang Luan, he didn't even know the names, and he had nowhere to find them when he went to the Tang dynasty. It's better to meet the little Liang Wang here. King Xiaoliang represented the Yu kingdom in a crusade against the Jiang kingdom. If he helped Wang Luan raise an army, he would naturally encounter King Xiaoliang. 4229/10568389. Chapter 6251. Chapter 6251. Do what you say. Thinking of this, he nodded slowly and said, I was serious about what I said yesterday, but Shijiaku is indeed a bit simple in my opinion. But since Big Brother has support at the Yamen, Shijiaku is our best choice. The four hit it off. Immediately decided to take Shajia Town and Shijiaku, but there are only 100 of them at the moment. Manpower is an issue. Seeing this, Scarshuan patted his chest and said, It's simple, we have a lot of meat tickets, and we can pull them in. Leave this to me. Xiang Yang stood up. Although he still has the aura of an aristocratic family, he has a hand in drawing people's hearts. Otherwise, the Xiang family would not be able to attract so many guests. Speaking of which, Jian Wushuang was the one who drew him to him. It's a pity to win over a scourge to the Xiang family. The division of labor is clear. Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan went to Juyatang to analyze the details of the next chapter. Scarbolt is the preparation guy. That is, ordnance. There are quite a few of these in the warehouse. They are all embezzled weapons by the powerful, ready to be sold in Datong. Even this kind of thing is greedy, so it is no wonder that Jiang Guogua is finished. Afternoon. The sun is still in the sky. The manpower is ready. Xiang Yang's eloquence is good, and he got 50 people. Scarbolt also pulled over those who were chopping wood on the mountain from the family members. There were also 50 people. That's 100 people, plus 100 people with previous experience. A team of 200 people appeared in the huge Juyi Hall. Wang Luan was the first to speak. Brothers, in this chaotic world, our lives are not as good as ants. Our families are displaced, and there is no place to settle down. Now there is an opportunity in front of you. Are you willing to fight? Willing. The crowd shouted in unison. But the meat votes by Banglai did not have the confidence to say, because their families are still in 4 places. Then it was Jian Wushuang's turn. He looked at everyone, and then said, Fighting is for the future, and the future is bright. Maybe you can't see clearly. I will make it clear to everyone present today. Everyone can go to get 10-2 silver. And this is not all. If there is an accident, your money will go to your family, including you. Jian Wushuang pointed at those meat tickets. Take out a piece of paper. The address above is clearly written. It is also a threat. If you dare to betray, your family will be gone. Your family will receive 20 taels of silver. If you are still alive after tonight, you can go home tomorrow. You can choose to bring your family to the small pier, or you can choose to live a life of pigs and dogs in troubled times. Everything is up to you. But when they heard that they would be able to receive 12 taels of silver soon, they all blushed with excitement. In the mundane world, 1 tael of gold, 10 taels of silver, 100 bucks and 10,000 copper coins. And a copper plate can buy a steamed bun. 10 copper plates can buy a pound of meat. A family of 5, even if they eat meat every day, can't spend 5 large sums of money a month. 12 taels of silver are delicious food for 2 or 3 years. Or 10 years of full meals. Why aren't these people excited? And next, Jian Wushuang issued a reward order. Kill an enemy, and get a tael of silver. In order to prevent these people from killing innocent people, military orders were also issued. Immediately, these people were gathered into a group. One by one is full of murderous intent. This set of rules made Wang Luan admire very much. Jian Wushuang is equivalent to a military division, who can create a regular army in just a few words. And murderous. After doing this, Jian Wushuang asked Xiang Yang and Scar Xuan to take 100 people to Zhulanjing next to Shajia town to wait for his signal. And he and Wang Luan rushed to Shajia town. None of them brought anyone. When we arrived at Shajia town, the sky was already dark. There are very few people on the street. Shajia town has Shijiaku. That is a small port. Usually ships passing by have to pay the shipping fee. And some merchant ships are restocked. Need a lot of porters. Therefore, most of the young and strong people in Shajia town are working on the dock. There are more than 500 porters on the pier. However, these porters are much better than those at Chishui Wharf. The porters at Chishui Wharf work day and night, and one person can block 7 or 8 people here. Although the treatment is good, the money deduction is also very powerful. These porters also have grievances and dare not spread. At this time, one by one, they left the pier and passed the street, bought money, rice, oil and salt, and their pockets were cleaner than their faces. And all this without a bully on the dock. Bully Chun Matsi. This man is ruthless, and he has dozens of thugs under him. Also has a relationship with the yamen. There are 10 arresters stationed at the yamen of Shajia town, and the head of them is Chun Matsi's brother-in-law. So you can show off your strength. Not only did he deduct wages, but he was also able to sit in Shijiaku, which also relieved the pressure on the court. Usually no bandits dare to rob. In the entire Shajia town, there are no more than 50 people who can use force, and most of them have no weapons. So the threat is not to fight. Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan observed around, followed the light and entered a restaurant. Next to it is Shijiaku Wharf. Chun Matsi usually comes here to drink. The two found a seat by the window. After Wang Luan sat down, he lowered his voice and asked, "Brother Wushuang, you brought me here not just to step on the spot. In fact, the thing about stepping on the spot has been inquired long ago. The people at the Yamen gate will come here for a drink with Chun Matsi today, just in time to catch them all. 200 people against 50 people is not a casual fight. But Jian Wushuang doesn't think so. He will do it. The threat has never been these wine buns and punks in Shajia town. The biggest threat is still Yongcheng. Among the towns near Yongcheng, only Qingzhou town has 300 officers and soldiers. Among them was a squad of light cavalry, at least 50 men. It was the officers and soldiers of Qingzhou town who shot arrows one day. These officers and soldiers reached Shajia town at the fastest speed, and it only took an hour. The cavalry is faster, and only takes half an hour. If they made a rash move, it would be easy to take Shajia town. But it's hard to breathe. I am afraid that the officers and soldiers of Qingzhou town will come just after winning it. When the time comes against the regular army, they will definitely not be able to resist. Especially cavalry. Despite his incentives, those meat votes also have killing intentions. But if you have the will to kill, you can't do it without experience. When the time comes against the cavalry, it is to send the head. So he didn't plan to let 200 people enter Shajia town directly, but let him go to ambush on the pipeline entering Shajia town. Don't worry, eldest brother. I have arranged for Xiang Yang to lead a group of people to dig traps. Our opponents are the officers and soldiers of Qingzhou town, not the small fish and shrimp here. Hearing this, Wang Luan let out a smile. I knew what you were thinking, but I was worried at first. Chapter 6252. Before he could finish speaking, a shout came from outside. The shopkeeper, clear the field. As soon as these words came out, the shopkeeper of the restaurant who had been dozing off suddenly regained his spirits and quickly trotted to the door with a smiling face. Brother Zhang, Ma Yi. I heard that Ma Yi is going to visit the shop early this morning. The food and drinks are all ready. Each one is fresh. Ma Yi has gone to invite Wang Putu. You will come after a meeting. You clear the venue first. There are many people today. All the 6 boxes above will be cleared, and a few tables in the hall will also be cleared, so that there will not be enough time for our brothers. Okay, don't worry, wrap it on me. Shopkeeper Lu immediately said in a loud voice. Little heir, go and clean up those tables. There are a few who have just arrived and I'm sorry. Today is my yes treat, so I'm offended. This shopkeeper is also a human being, and directly through the misfortune to Chen Matzi. The walkers who were eating also knew Chen Matzi, so they packed drinks and left the restaurant. Even some who were not driven away got up and left, so as not to wait for a disaster. In this way, Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan were spared from being chased away. When you are free, you should eat and drink. Almost a stick of incense passed. I heard a noise outside the door. Chen Matzi took his brother-in-law, the Wang Putu, into the restaurant in a big way. At this time, the restaurant can be said to be a mixed bag. There is a return to the ancestors. There are also bandits like Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan. In addition, Wang Ziotis' image of a bully at the gate of the yamen and Chen Matzi. Suddenly, the entire restaurant became the power center of Shajia town. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and glanced at Chen Matzi, who was not tall. Standing in front of Wang Putu, he looked very short. At first glance, it is a soft-footed shrimp, and it does not pose much threat to him. But the few behind him are not easy. There were 2 burly men like towers and 2 lean men with eyes like knives. He also had a knife on his waist. As for Wang Xiaotu, I heard that he bought a coffin, so don't worry. Most of the rest of the catchers were wine bags and rice buns, but one of them looked indifferent and looked disgusted with this kind of place. Only this person is considered an anomaly in the head capture. Looking at the walking posture, Jian Wushuang can see that the other party is a trainer. Definitely have 2 hands. And among the head arrests, this person is the only one with a steel knife. The knife does not leave the body. Is a cruel man. Seeing who he pays so much attention to, Wang Luan on the opposite side introduced in a low voice. This guy is the only decent head arrester in the entire Shajia town. He usually doesn't even give Chen Matzi's face. I heard that a few days ago, he even detained a group. The ordnance that Chen Matzi got privately from the upper reaches is still buckled. It is estimated that this is the reason for today's treat. Is there such a thing? Jian Wushuang's brows moved, and then he said, Isn't Chen Matzi's brother-in-law a head arrester? Why can't a small arrest be resolved quickly? You don't know that Liang Chen, nicknamed Tai Mian, don't give face to anyone. Wang Luan nodded in admiration. Jian Wushuang is even more puzzled. This kind of unselfish person cannot be hacked to death without a background. There is no big man in Shajia town to support such a person. Seeing that he didn't believe it, Wang Luan added. Forgot to mention, this guy's father-in-law is a coach in Qingzhou town. He has taught many soldiers in the army, so no one dares to touch him. So that's how it is. Jian Wushuang took a sip of wine and thought about it in his heart. Chen Matzi and the others had already gone upstairs. In the hall, there are also 7 or 8 tables. 40 or 50 people came. Only half of them can get on the box. The remaining half are in the lobby. As soon as these people were seated, they started shouting and serving wine. And behind them was a table of Chen Matzi's thugs. Little heir, where's the wine? It's been a long time since I called you. What the hell? The big black-faced man on the back table, with a fierce look on his face, was so frightened that the little heir shuddered and brought 2 pots of soju. When he saw that it was a jug and not a wine jar, the black-faced man became even more angry. He knocked the jug to the ground with a flick of his hand and scolded. Who can drink enough with this amount of wine? Go to the wine jar. 1 person per person. Yes. The shop boy nodded in shock. The black-faced man was very satisfied with this. But when he looked up and saw Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan drinking, He felt unhappy. Someone actually drank before them, stood up and scolded. Wait a minute. Why did the table in front drink first? Is it possible that Grandpa is inferior to these two little chicks? Speaking of which, he has to go forward to find trouble with Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan. At this time, the shopkeeper's face came over and apologized. Master, hey, these two are drinking the wine from the jug. Don't you think it's unpleasant to drink so much? Change it and change it right away. A jug? A jug. Only the babes can drink from a jug. After he finished speaking, he laughed with the people next to him. These words are not lethal to Jian Wushuang, but to a bandit elder brother like Wang Luan, it is simply an insult. Jian Wushuang winked at Wang Luan, signaling to calm down and not to rush. Seeing this, Wang Luan nodded and withdrew the hand that touched his waist. Of course, it's not two people who do it, they must call someone. He took out a fire certificate and threw it out the window. After a while, flames burst out from outside the restaurant, which was as high as a battle, in the bamboo forest not far from here. After seeing this signal, Knife Scar Xuan clicked his hand and rushed towards this direction. The people he brought are all good hands, at least people who have seen blood. All of them are strong, with bright long knives slung around their waists. This is the least manned. Only 20 people. Scarbolt didn't know the full plan. Only Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan knew. Even Wang Luan didn't see Jian Wushuang's entire plan now. The 20 people quickly touched Shijiaku. Enter Shijiaku and go straight to the tower. After killing the guards here, he did not stop and head towards the restaurant. At the door of the restaurant, Scar Xuan is also a ruthless person. Otherwise he will not be able to become the master. I saw that he took out his long knife and rushed in first. The order Jian Wushuang gave him was to kill anyone he saw. Not many scruples. In addition to those thugs who drank wine, all of them were dazed and only felt that the wine was very strong today. In fact, it was drugged. They can know that Chen Matzi came to this restaurant today and must have arranged in advance. Wang Lun's brother-in-law works as a clerk in the back kitchen of the restaurant, taking the opportunity to take the medicine. From the beginning, he never thought that everyone would besiege Shajia town. Instead, let people go to ambush Qingzhou town's reinforcements on the road. This is also where Wang Luan admires. When Scar Xuan made a move, Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan also got up and drew their knives. It's just that Jian Wushuang is drawing a sword. With a sword in hand, almost no one around him can block his sword. Even an ordinary iron sword is like a divine sword in Jian Wu's hands. Especially when dealing with the table behind him, the man who scolded Jian Wushuang, and the two of them before opened his eyes wide, and couldn't believe Jian Wushuang wiped his neck with a sword. At this point in the end cannot afford, blood sprayed all over the place. Chapter 6253. Wang Luan rushed forward, made 2 more cuts and scolded. What the hell, weren't you very dragged just now? Backhand chopped down the one who was frightened and fooled, and this was relieved. When he turned his head to look at Jian Wushuang, there was admiration in his eyes. Brother Wushuang, your swordsmanship is really ruthless. If I encounter this Hess, I'm afraid I will have to fight for a while. Jian Wushuang shook his head indifferently. This is nothing, the opponent is upstairs. At this time, Scar Xuan also trotted over. His body was covered in blood, and reported to Erenhui. We have taken all of them downstairs, let's go upstairs. At this time, there was a bang from upstairs. The reason why these guys didn't respond when they just started, one is that they started too fast, and the other is that there is a problem with the wine. The third is that the door is locked. Now they kicked it away. But if you drink the wrong wine, you can kick the door, but you can't kill people. As soon as he broke through the door, he was directly cut to the ground by a few knife and axe men who had been ambushed in advance. However, Chen Matzi also has a few good players, and they all carry knives, but unfortunately the wine is too strong. Can't stop it at all. On the contrary, there was one person who knocked down 3 good players in a row, and was stunned to kill them. And after coming out, he ran all the way, and went out of the restaurant. When Jian Wushuang saw this scene, the corners of his mouth rose, and he couldn't help but laugh. Good run. The man who ran was the only Tai Mian who didn't drink. And he pulled out a fire stick from his waist at this time. A stream of light went to the sky. Then there was a deafening sound. You don't need to ask. You know that this guy is going out to call someone. As for Wang Putu, at this time, the person who was tied by the knife scar took it out. And Chunmatsi, keep these two people, I will be useful tomorrow. Jian Wushuang reminded, and walked out of the restaurant. There are 5 or 6 good players behind him. Naturally, I want to win that iron-faced good day. A thunderstorm exploded in the sky. 300 officers and soldiers far away in Qingzhou town set off immediately. 50 light cavalry is the leader. With excellent troops and training, it is far from comparable to bandits. Even bandit number 500 could not stop this light cavalry. What's more, the cavalry had 200 knife and axe men behind them. If Jian Wushuang had chosen to take Shajia town forcibly at the beginning, the end would not have been much better. Qi Wang Luan will not agree with this decision. And now, with pipes and traps, just waiting for these fish to take the bait. Shajia town. Jian Wushuang held a sword and led several people to squeeze Tai Mian Kuai Liang Chun into the dead end. Seeing that there was no escape, Liang Chun scolded angrily. I have already sent a request for help. Even if you kill me, you will not be able to escape. Just wait for your head to be beheaded. It seems that you want to avenge your kindness and revenge. Jian Wushuang wiped the blood from a sword and said leisurely. I thought you were a smart person? Humph. In the imperial court catcher. What kind of favor do I have with you little thieves? Only hate. The iron face is not a loss, but the iron face is the truth, and it is not surrender. If he really wanted to kill this good day, Jian Wushuang would have done it a long time ago. But this person, like Wang Zhaotu and Chunmatsi, cannot be killed. The former is notorious for being slaughtered so easily, too cheap and too worthless. The latter is a prestigious Tai Mian Kuai Kuai in Shajia town, and has a high reputation in Shajia town. Moreover, he has a strong relationship with a coach in Qingzhou town. Jian Wushuang naturally takes advantage of this. Even if you break up with each other. Brother Liangchen, I respect you as a good official, so I am so polite to you. But how can you not appreciate it? The more Jian Wushuang said that, the more the other party felt that something was wrong. No matter how you look at it, Jian Wushuang doesn't look like a little thief on the mountain, but has an indescribable temperament. This temperament does not belong to ordinary people, nor does it belong to mortals. More like a long-standing high-ranking person. Is there any friendship between us? Liang Chen tentatively asked. Jian Wushuang saw that the other party was taking the bait, and answered cheerfully. Of course there is friendship, but it's just a favor you unilaterally owe me. Where did you start this? Liang Chen's brows moved, and he had a hunch in his heart. If it was what he thought, Jian Wushuang would be too scary. Hongmen banquet. The reason why Chunmatsi wanted to treat today. And he pulled his brother-in-law, and forcefully asked Tai Mian Liang Chun to come to the restaurant, just to get rid of the latter. Because a few days ago, Tai Mian Liang Chun detained a batch of Chunmatsi's goods. And this batch of goods is very important. So Chunmatsi didn't hesitate to get rid of the iron-faced good times. He also learned about this from the boatman. Thinking of Chunmatsi's high-profile treat today, he guessed that the other party was not at ease. The goods have just been robbed, and now they are pretending to treat guests. Either say and. But making peace with Tai Mian is not playing the piano to the cow, so there is only one argument left, and that is murder. Jian Wushuang told the whole story of the matter one by one. Moreover, Tai Mian Liang Chen himself felt the murderous intent at the wine table today, and he was thinking of finding an opportunity to leave. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang led people into Shajia town suddenly, allowing him to escape. How is it brother Liangchen owes me a favor? Jian Wushuang looked at each other with a light smile, obviously to get closer. But the reason why Tai Mian is that he only sees right and wrong, and never sees affection. In the entire Shajia town, no one is given face. This is the iron face. I owe you a favor. Now you can kill me and take this favor. I promise not to fight back. But in an hour, the officers and soldiers of Qingzhou town will come, and you can't escape death. Admire Jian Wushuang's plan. but it has not yet reached the point of complicity. Besides, he never thought of getting in the same boat with a little thief. At this time, Wang Luan also came over after cleaning up the wharf thugs in the restaurant. Brother Wushuang, don't talk nonsense with him, just kill it. Everything is ready on the official road. Those officers and soldiers can't get in, and they can't escape. At this time, Wang Luan seemed very excited. He learned from the mouth of the knife scar bolt that Jian Wushuang was on the official road, and he arranged a trip horse rope and a bamboo knife well. 50 light cavalry is definitely back and forth. The infantry in the back is better. Using the time difference, set up another trap on the official road in front of the ambush light cavalry. It can also be taken easily. These officers and soldiers look down on bandits at all. So how could they think of these bandits and thieves? Dare to ambush them on the way? The first is to have someone make plans, and the second is to have enough interests. The last is courage. Courage can be forced out. Tai Mian Liang Chen. The first surprise was that Jian Wushuang knew that Chen Matzi and Wang Xiaotu were going to kill him, and could arrange this in advance. The second surprise was to hear Wang Luan say that they were going to take action against the officers and soldiers. Chapter 6254. This time, even though Tai Mian Liang Chen was stubborn, he had to marvel at Jian Wushuang's courage. With just such a few people, they dared to take action against hundreds of officers and soldiers with an established system. This is simply rebellion. Jian Wushuang saw that what he had said was almost done. He waved his hand and said, "Take Brother Liang Chen down to rest first, and let's talk after I deal with those officers and soldiers." For him, these people are his stepping stones. Of course it will also give them some benefits. After taking the entire Shajia town and Shijiaku, Jian Wushuang asked Wang Luan to stay behind, and left 20 axemen, enough to secure the rear. He took the scar bolt, and went to the official road with the other dozen knife and axemen. At this time, the light cavalry in Qingzhou town had already arrived at the location where they had set up an ambush. The first round is to trip the horse rope. This kind of ordnance was robbed by Wang Luan. Originally, I felt that I was at a loss when I got this kind of thing, because I couldn't sell it, and I also offended the big guy in Yongcheng. But this time, it played a very crucial role. The tripping cable does not require much technology, and the most important thing is the trouble of manufacturing. But now it only takes a few savvy and powerful barbarians to overthrow a dozen cavalry. Bang! When the tripping rope was pulled up, the horse chirped. No, there is an ambush. These people are the elite cavalry of the imperial court, and they respond quickly. Get ready to turn around now. But what was waiting for them behind was tripping. It has already entered the full set that Jian Wushuang set in advance. Get off the horse and fight with these thieves. Under attack from both sides, the advantage of the cavalry was completely gone, and they could only dismount and fight. Although it was a bit chaotic, after the dozens of cavalrymen dismounted, they still had soft armor on their bodies, and a machete in their hands. Can be killed as well. But when they charged towards both sides, the soles of their feet sank, and they fell directly into the dug trap. Below is a sharp bamboo knife. Even with soft armor on his body, he was still stabbed through when he fell. The panic-stricken horses and the dismounted cavalry in a mess made Jian Wushuang and the others pack up in less than a quarter of an hour. There are not many people here. Originally, Jian Wushuang planned to get a group of archers. This will be faster, and they have good bows and sharp arrows. But unfortunately not many people can use them. Might as well get some traps. Leave 10 people to send the horses to Shajia town, and the rest follow me. After Jian Wushuang explained, he led more than 50 people to the back mountain. The cavalry seemed to pose the greatest threat to them, but their small numbers were the best solution. Infantry is the trouble. Once detected, they all rush to the mountains and forests. Even if they rely on the terrain advantage, they will lose a lot of people. And most of these people are porter coolies or boatmen. It's okay to die 1 or 2 times, but if you die too many, you'll be scared to death, and you're done. Therefore, Jian Wushuang did not dare to be careless. After crossing the back mountain, it is still the official road. This official road surrounds half of the mountain, and the ambush on both sides seems far away on the official road. But relying on the terrain, Jian Wushuang and the others climbed the top of the mountain and found Xiang Yang and others. How is it? Has it been resolved over there? Xiang Yang was still a little worried at this time. Scarshuan heard the words and said with a smile, "It's solved, we won all of them. We don't even have one injured here. Just follow the mountain to hunt the big bug. Don't look fierce, but in the trap. No matter how hard it struggles, can't even touch us half a point." With his words, the hearts of everyone in ambush are relieved. They are afraid of failure. The good news brought now has undoubtedly boosted their confidence. In particular, the knife and axe men who have followed Jian Wushuang twice are full of confidence and feel that these officers and soldiers are just like that. And there is no terror in the rumors. But the next thing is their life and death test. When Shajia town was captured, it was at most the hacking and killing between the gangsters. But the officers and soldiers in ambush here will fight on the battlefield once they resist. Jian Wushuang lowered his breath, waiting for the officers and soldiers to come, and did not talk nonsense to those people. Waited for about a stick of incense. He heard heavy footsteps. This voice made Jian Wushuang frown. Heavy step. In his heart he thought of the hoplites. If so, then their traps might be less of a threat to these hoplites. And fighting at close range, let alone heavy infantry, they are no match for soft armored infantry. At least 3 fights won. But in terms of number, they are much smaller than each other. But now it's heavy infantry, at least 1 out of 5. The only advantage is that even if the other party is not flexible enough, one by one wearing a 30-pound battle armor, it is inconvenient to move. Only rely on this advantage. The plan has changed. Team 1 and Team 2 will step back 10 steps to dig a deep trench, and the spearmen of Team 3 will go to counterattack. After Team 1 and 2 are free, they will flee to both sides. After arranging everything, Jian Wushuang quietly disappeared into the night. He also has his own tasks to do. That is the one who takes the lead of the opponent. Among the cavalry just now, the Qingzhou town captain he was looking for was not there. But the other party is definitely coming. In front of the officers and soldiers, there are several tall horses. One of them, a middle-aged man with a long beard, was seen by Jian Wushuang. Needless to say, this person is the captain of Qingzhou town. He is also the proud student of the coach in Qingzhou town. I just don't know why this time the opponent will send out hoplites. This makes Jian Wushuang very surprised. Logically speaking, the other party is not afraid of them at all. 50 cavalry is enough to kill those bandits and bandits. Why get 200 hoplites? Isn't this superfluous? Jian Wushuang is no longer a god, so he can't figure it out. So he can only grab the other side and ask. Arrived at the scheduled location, start working. Following Xiang Yang's orders, the spearmen who were ambushed on both sides rushed out instantly. Afterwards, several jars of spirits were thrown into the crowd, and the smell of spirits made the officers and soldiers frown. What followed was a lit torch thrown at them. This idea is not what Jian Wushuang thought. He felt that there is no need to be so cruel. It is best to keep some people. At that time, relying on his and Xiang Yang's more than mortal knowledge and ability to fool, it is the best thing to use these people for their own use. But in this way, I am afraid that no one will surrender at that time. But that's fine. Just burning it with fire instantly overwhelmed a large number of officers and soldiers. With the stabs of the long spears, it did not play a big role. Because of the heavy armor, and Jian Wushuang's few people who can use spears, they all rushed forward with all their strength, taking advantage of the weapon leader's sake. As a result, instead of piercing the heavy armor, they made a somersault. Chapter 6255. Chapter 6255. Capture the official first. That's not too bad. And there are people who see dead people unsteady on their feet. Seeing this, Xiang Yang could only order people to retreat. Led those officers and soldiers into the trap. The captain in the lead saw them retreating, but he did not issue an order to pursue them, but retreated. Even those who were burned were not brought, and they just retreated. Be extremely careful. But how could Jian Wushuang let go of such a good opportunity? Once these people are allowed to escape, The next visit will definitely be during the day, and the scouts will be released. It will not be so easy then. Can't let them run away. Turn around and block them for me. Although Xiang Yang didn't understand the strategy, he also understood that this was their best chance, and immediately went back to the rear with more than 50 people in person. This also reflects their flexibility. And Jian Wushuang also started to act at this time. He smeared the line, held the short sword that had been prepared in his hand, and walked towards the commanding captain. At this time, the captain was commanding loudly. Use a shield spread out. Don't lean to the sides, just follow the official road. That's the role of a commander, with a clear mind and knowing that there are people in ambush on both sides. If you rush into the mountains and forests on both sides, you will definitely suffer heavy losses. You have to get out in a group slowly. Even if you get burned to death, you have to endure it. Xiang Yang felt that he had known to bring more spirits, and now the best way is to use fire. But unfortunately there is no more. Can only use the spear to barely block. Jian Wushuang had already arrived at the official road at this time, but facing a circle of shields, it was too difficult for him to approach the captain in command. Holding the dagger in his hand, he was full of thoughts. I didn't expect it to be so troublesome this time. It was far from what he expected. Now I can't even get close to that captain. After thinking for a moment, he detoured to the left again. This time it was a lot closer, but there were still 10 hoplites. The heavy armor of these people, relying on the ordinary iron sword in his hand, is simply whimsical to pierce through. He has that move but not that ability. Unless you can use the sword chi. But now that the mortal body is able to use a sword, it is not bad. Holding the sword in his hand, Jian Wushuang held his breath, made a sudden move, and killed him instantly. With the sword in hand, he has an extremely strong confidence. This confidence was bestowed upon him by the sword. In the dark night, the cold light hits. The hoplites holding the shields were startled, and before they could react, they felt that the air was leaking from their throats. This is the precision of Jian Wushuang's sword. Even if it's just a gap, it can still be a marquee. But when these people reacted, they raised their shields and attacked him with the guns and knives in their left hands. Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry. He pointed his toes, jumped up, strode into the air, and rushed straight to the captain. Because fighting with these iron bumps will damage his sword sooner or later, it is not worth it. Might as well just rush over and fight. It's a big deal to get hurt, and it's not enough to die here. It's a pity that there is no sharp blade in hand. Otherwise these iron lumps would have been chopped into scrap metal long ago. Clap, clap, clap. Stepping on those Iron King's 8 or 3 steps, and taking 2 steps, he was in front of the man in an instant. It was only at this moment that the captain could react. But Jian Wushuang had already stood on his horse, taking off the opponent's helmet with one hand, and holding the sword in the other's neck. Everyone stop me or I'll kill him. Jian Wushuang roared from the top, causing everyone to stop. The lieutenant sitting on the horse did not dare to take a breath. Not because he was afraid of death, but Han Feng was in his throat, and he couldn't move. Anyone who takes a big breath may be blocked. Xiang Yang Scar Xuan, don't go get anyone. Jian Wushuang kicked the captain over, and knocked him off his horse. The moment he fell to the ground, more than 100 people rushed out of the jungle on both sides, directly surrounded the group of officers and soldiers. In fact, at this time, as long as the captain gave an order, he could completely turn the tables, but his own life would also be ruined by Jian Wushuang. He wasn't willing to gamble like that. In fact, he is not afraid of death, just unwilling to die like this. Now the Jiang country is in chaos. It is not a hero who dies in a chaotic world, but a hero who sweeps away the chaotic world. So he was unwilling to understand his own life in such a confused way. He could only hate being captured by Xiang Yang. After being captured by Wu Huada, he realized that it was a group of bandits who took him down. Moreover, these people were in ragged clothes, and even though their weapons were brand new, their eyes couldn't deceive him. Just a bunch of ordinary people with unsteady weapons. How can that be? He looked around in disbelief. Scarbolt stepped forward and slapped the captain on the forehead, shouting angrily, "I'll tell you if it's impossible. Those cavalrymen are already finished. Shajia Town and Shijiaku have been killed by my eldest brother. Take it. When we are ready, your Qingzhou town will be finished. Stop talking nonsense with him. Hand over their weapons and go back to Qingzhou town first. Jian Wushuang sat on the back of a horse like a general. He also made everyone admire him immensely. In today's battle, their small wharf has completely gained a firm foothold. Not only won Shajia town and Shijiaku, but also settled Qingzhou town. Qingzhou town is an important town, with 300 elites sitting there. It is also the most threatening military town among several large towns in the vicinity of Shijiaku. Now that Wuxia has been knocked out, their only remaining worry is Yongcheng. Among the 4 coastal cities, Yongcheng is the only city with a large army, but it does not have the powerful appearance in the eyes of outsiders. From Jian Wushuang's point of view, not only will Yongcheng not embarrass them now, but he may even be ordered. Because Yongcheng was not prepared to fight with Yuegor at all, has been reselling ordnance. The gathered gold and silver flowed overseas. They are all ready to escape to Datong to enjoy happiness. Now that the back road has been cut off by them, and the soldiers in their hands can't move around, they can only make peace. In fact, it is asking for peace. So Jian Wushuang doesn't worry about this. He has a lot to do now. Return to Shajia town. All the prisoners were taken to the merchant ship and sent to the small pier upstream. The same goes with which lieutenant. Jian Wushuang did not waste his words in ordering the opponent to surrender. Words can't deal with each other, and he didn't think about convincing these people. Now the people of Shaoquan are very popular. If you bow your head to convince these elite officers and soldiers, you will lose your spirit. Even if the opponent surrenders, it is likely to be counterattacked, because the chips in Jian Wu's hands are not enough to calm the opponent. He has to deal with Shajia town first. When he has settled down here, it will be much easier to recover those officers and soldiers who are detained at that time. And it is just to poke the arrogance of these people. So he deliberately let Scar Xuan be responsible for this escort. The road will naturally make those people suffer some hardships. More than 200 officers and soldiers captured 200 survivors. Chapter 6256. Chapter 6256. Coastal Guard. To support is to support. The only difficult thing to do is to imprison. Scarbolt arranged a cave to imprison these people. With number 50 knife and axe hand in charge, and an iron fence to block off, Jian Wushuang can feel at ease. He was busy until dawn, and Jian Wushuang did not close his eyes to rest. Instead, at the gate of the market in the morning, the people of the entire Shajia town were called to watch the beheading. Who cut it? Chen Matzi. Wang Xian. One yaman catches the head, and the other Shijiaku carries the handle. The two of them oppressed the people of Shajia town a lot. At this time, I suddenly heard that I was going to be beheaded, and I couldn't believe it. They came here to watch. When they saw the stubborn man, it was not surprising at all. The prisoner who sat behind the long table on the high platform was a good day. At this moment, there was both excitement and anxiety in his eyes. And Jian Wushuang stood behind him with his hands behind his back, and whispered, "Brother Liangchen, you are killing the people. You should be happy." "Happy?" Liangchen frowned, shook his head and said, "I really don't know who to be happy for." He knew what Jian Wushuang was going to do. It is nothing more than to use his reputation to stabilize Shajia town. He did receive a good reputation, but what about Jian Wushuang? Acquired the entire Shajia town. This bandit is getting more and more incomprehensible to him. And the ambition he shows also makes him a little scared. "What are you sorry?" Jian Wushuang didn't take it seriously, and said indifferently, "If you are afraid, you can leave at any time. I will kill these two bullies myself, and I can control the entire Shajia town. You can't keep it. But don't worry, I won't kill you. You can go to Qingzhou town and continue to be your catcher. Maybe you can be the chief catcher with your connections." Tai Mian Liangchen's face trembled, and he is now being held here. Can't go. Gone contrary to his aspirations. If you don't leave, you will commit suicide by smuggling the head of the yamen, which is a serious crime. In addition, he mixed with Jian Wushuang and these bandits to kill the yamen catcher, and he was completely bound to Jian Wushuang's worship. As Jian Wushuang said, he is leaving now. In fact, it's not a big deal. At most there are some suspicions. But his reputation could not be preserved. It's not that he values his reputation, but it goes against his own aspirations. He was not reconciled. So sitting here is like sitting on pins and needles. There are so many things I want to say, but I can't open my mouth. Jian Wushuang looked at him and couldn't help but laugh. Don't worry, I will do the dirty work. You just need to watch, and you will be responsible for the security of the entire Shajia town in the future. I will never interfere, and I will not cover up anyone. You can do everything you dare. Patting each other on the shoulder, Jian Wushuang walked up to the high platform. Chen Matzi and headcatcher Wang Xian were tied upside down. He also had a rag in his mouth. Jian Wushuang stepped forward, holding a cold steel knife in his hand. He didn't act in a hurry, patted Chen Matzi's big head, looked at the people of Shajia town under the stage, and talked freely. First introduce myself. He is not rebelling, but acting for heaven. Now the imperial court is incompetent, with bullies colluding with corrupt officials. The court doesn't care, he takes care of it. However, he pushed the person who took the lead to a good day. Originally, they all had expressions of fear or doubt, but after hearing that Tai Mian Liang Chen was the main messenger, they all jumped up excitedly. Of course, most people are Jian Wushuang inserted to drive the atmosphere. Some people took the opportunity to shout to kill the bullies and get rid of corrupt officials, pushed the atmosphere to a climax. When the time was right, Jian Wushuang raised his steel knife and neatly dealt with the two bullies and corrupt officials who had been entrenched in Shajia town for decades. From today onwards, the yamen in Shajia town will only have a good reputation, and there will be no bullies in Shijiaku, only the coastal guards. Shout out again. Jian Wushuang was very satisfied. He threw the steel knife to Xiang Yang and walked towards the iron-faced good day of slashing. Brother Liangchen, at this moment, why don't you go up and say a few words? There was another cry below. The will of the people. Although Tai Mian Liangchen was a little awkward, he was very happy to be able to get rid of the two bullies. But he was afraid that Jian Wushuang would become the next Chen Matzi. But when he heard about the Coast Guard, he dispelled this concern. He had a personal acquaintance and was familiar with history. I know what people like Jian Wushuang do. Not just staring at one Shajia town. After the scruples were gone, he was no longer nervous, but accepted everything. Take the initiative to get up and go to promise everyone in Shajia town that they will do their best in the future. Jian Wushuang stood behind, watching all this. Shajia town has already grasped the palm of his hand unknowingly, with a good day to guarantee him. These people's trust in him will increase a lot, and then they will be able to gradually start the follow-up plan. What I said at the wine table was not just bragging. After Shajia town stabilized in this respect, Jian Wushuang started to make a big deal in Shijiaku. All the merchant ships coming from upstream were detained. Even people bring goods, all take away. It even pulled out some of the reselling ordnance directly. This is what Tai Mian Liangchen hates the most. So I personally brought the ordnance to the market in Shajia town. He denounced the incompetence of the imperial court and the cunning of corrupt officials. This made him admire Jian Wushuang more and more, and felt that Jian Wushuang must be someone who does big things. Just 10 days passed. Shajia town has a new look. In Shijiaku, dozens of merchant ships are parked. Countless gold and silver jewelry and armaments. Enough to attract a team of thousands of people. In just a few days, Jian Wushuang turned the small pier into a big pier. After eating so much, the next step is to expand the manpower. The porters used these days are young and strong from Shajia town. The 200 people they got earlier have formed an army. Xiang Yang served as the coastal general. 200 people, 100 of them are heavy infantry, responsible for guarding Shijiaku. There are also 50 people who were taken away by Tai Mian Liangchen and are responsible for the safety of Shajia town. The last 50 were cavalry. There is no combat power at present, and I have just learned the minimum. But the follow-up will also be practiced soon, and Xiang Yang will personally command it. Jian Wu has no soldier in his hands. Wang Luan was in charge of Shijiaku, and was in charge of 100 people. These people are also Wang Lun's cronies. Jian Wushuang did this deliberately, because he was afraid of these people's slander. Made Wang Luan think carefully. In the early preparations, everyone must be united. Therefore, Jian Wu has no soldier in his hands. On this day, he sent someone to ask Scar to travel from Shaoquan to Shijiaku. He also asked people to invite a good day. Night. On the bamboo building in Shijiaku. A simple dinner, plus a few jars of spirits. Those who come are also their own people. After sitting down, there is no extra politeness. Jian Wushuang took the lead and said, "At present Shajia town is stable. We should expand our troops. Those weapons are not used by the imperial court." Chapter 6257. Chapter 6257. The Dream of the Deer. This big talk. Wang Luan was stunned for a moment, but he didn't speak, but there was concern in his eyes. I feel that Jian Wushuang is a little too ambitious. Wang Lun's highest ambition is Zhaoan, but to be sanctioned by the country of Vietnam. So he didn't dare to speak ill of Vietnam at this time. But let him call Jiangguo's attention, absolutely nothing. Tai Mian Liangchen is different. He can do anything to anyone, but it must be in line with his own aspirations. So the two of them are a little bit different. But Wang Luan knew that it would be possible without him now. But he couldn't be without a good time. There are thousands of households in Shajia town. We must rely on good luck to govern. He was only responsible for hijacking some merchant ships at the dock. What Jian Wushuang wants is this kind of check and balance, so that they understand their position. Wushuang is right. At present, merchant ships rarely pass through Shijiaku. Those porters have no income. Sooner or later, something will happen. It's better to start recruiting from those porters. Tai Mian Liangchen expressed his intentions. In fact, this is what everyone thinks in their hearts, and naturally no one objects. After seeing what the other party said, Jian Wushuang pretended to frown and said, "In fact, we are still one step away from expanding the manpower. It's not enough to have manpower alone. There is not enough people to teach and manage, and there are not enough talents." Saying that, he sighed and shook his head. Seeing this, Liangchen immediately proposed, "This is simple. Didn't we capture some court officers and soldiers earlier? Why don't we recruit them?" "That's a good idea." Wang Luan nodded, but looked at Jian Wushuang. It takes Jian Wushuang to speak up to know this. After all, people are caught by Jian Wushuang. And these days Jian Wushuang has not spoken about this matter. He feels that Jian Wushuang must have paid attention. I have already thought about it. But it takes one person to lobby. He still has to let the good old days go. And he has to take down the entire Qingzhou town. It was a military town, and there were many seedlings. With proper use, it is very easy to pull out a team of 5,000 people. And it has an organizational system, which can train elite troops in batches. Wang Luan and Scar Xuan looked at Jian Wushuang, while Jian Wushuang looked at Tai Mian Liangchen. As for Xiang Yang drinking alone, he doesn't care. Tai Mian Liangchen was a little embarrassed to be seen, and he spread his hands and said, "If you need help, just ask. I'm actually not familiar with that tiger-headed captain. Let's not talk about this. I learned from the merchant ship's guy a few days ago that the current situation in Jiang country is not very good. The Yu kingdom is now stationed in Langshan County, and the main force of the Jiang kingdom is there. The battle is not in the cold winter, it is the spring dawn next year, and the opponent is the Xiaoyang king of the Yu kingdom. The vanguard alone is 150,000 elite iron cavalry. This battle can't stop it. Anyone who pays a little attention to this aspect knows that. If you want to win, you can only ask for help. But Jiangguo's chips were running out. Asking for help can only be done by altruitness. For example, to lobby the neighboring country of Bohai. Use the upper lip and cold teeth to die. Once Guina annexes Jiang country, both sides can nibble away two big countries, Bohai state and Ninghai state. If both sides send troops to help Jiangguo resist at this time, at least they can die later. Speaking of this, Wang Luan and Tai Mian Liangchen are no longer sleepy, and they all make nonsense. Either criticize or point out the problem. Jian Wushuang sat in the middle, but nodded frequently. Finally point to the proposition. Those two never thought about starting a fifth army? Jiang State and Ninghai State. Bohai State. Plus Vietnam. This is a war between four behemoths. Quartet duel. What will happen if there is a fifth branch? This question of Jian Wushuang has returned to its original origin. Or is it a matter of their recruitment? But with the foreshadowing ahead, Wang Luan and Tai Mian Liangchen both dreamed of competing in the world. Whatever their aspirations, the most important thing is to have power. This condensed their hearts even more. At this time, Jian Wushuang opened his mouth again and said the request. Without too much hesitation, Tai Mian Liangchen nodded and agreed. Lobbying Qingzhou town. Just like Jiangguo's current situation. Go to lobby Baohe. But they have natural advantages. On the one hand, Jian Wushuang pulled out the teeth of Qingzhou town. And on the other hand, the prestige of the good old man, and the relationship with which old coach. This gives him a natural advantage to seize this advantage. Once they start to gain momentum, they will encounter a situation that changes. This time, Tai Mian Liangchen also went out of his way, and took his daughter-in-law to Qingzhou town in person. Jian Wushuang was also prepared, and directly let Scar Xuan release all the officers and soldiers he had captured. Let Tai Mian Liangchen take these people back. As for the ordnance, it will definitely not be returned. Although there are thousands of sets of equipment piled up in their warehouses, they are not bad, but they are all very useful. Because the expansion is ready, he is very optimistic about the good times, and the other party will never let him down. Plus these days of cheating, eloquence is much better. Just convince his old father-in-law, and everything will be ready. In the early morning of the second day, he personally went to deliver the good day. After the arrangement was made, he looked at the other party's back, but he didn't look back for a long time. It's all up to this time. Brother Wushuang, are you not afraid of failure? Xiang Yang asked from the side. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, I see people very accurately. Brother Liangchen is not an ordinary person. We will leave here sooner or later, or leave Jianggua. But Liangchen can't leave. There are many things he can't put down. And he will definitely do your best. Then wait and see. The two returned to Shijiaku. Currently and no merchant ships have passed by. Everyone knows what kind of coastal guards they have set up to quell the powerful people in Yongcheng. Is discussing Zhaoan or eradication. But there will be no use of force for a while. But Jian Wushuang and the others will not be idle either. Send away the good day. Jian Wushuang discussed with Wang Luan about the expansion of the manpower. There are not many people who can win over at the small dock. Now that those officers and soldiers are released, Scarbolt will not go back. But that position is very important. It can be attacked and defended. Jian Wushuang did not give up, and gathered some boatmen and merchant ships to bring all the robbed warships to the small pier. I chose 2 of them who have been on the canal all the year round, and let them both draft sailors. In the future, it will be used to transport the trained elites to the upstream. In order to bind the 2 brothers of the Ruan family, Jian Wushuang even promised Scar Xuan's 2 younger sisters to each other. Although Scar Xuan was a little unhappy, he was glad to hear that his 2 brothers-in-law would be Empress Jiang in the future. Then there is the porter of Shijiaku. Although there were no merchant ships in the past 2 days, Jian Wushuang still served delicious food. But these porters who have suffered for half their lives are a little embarrassed, and they are worried that Jian Wushuang will dismiss them. Since Jian Wushuang won Chenmatsi, the porter in Shijiaku has doubled his daily earnings. But now, seeing that the good days may not be there at any time, everyone is more anxious than Jian Wushuang. 4229/10637336. Chapter 6258. Chapter 6258 expanded to the extreme noon. The kitchen slaughtered a pig and 2 sheep. This made those porters who didn't work even more surprised, and they all felt that this was a loose meal. Although it was delicious, it was uncomfortable in the bottom of my heart, each with a look of reluctance in his eyes. At this time, Jian Wushuang and Wang Luan were both standing on the second floor watching this scene. It's almost there, let's announce it after dinner. Wang Luan nodded and replied, It's still your way. After cooking them for 2 days, you'll know that the rice is delicious. It's about the same as dealing with a tough time. If you let these porters become the rebel army at the beginning, I am afraid that few people will do it. After all, effort is better than life. And these days they are eating and drinking well, and their money is doubled. They are all thinking about the future. But now that they have suddenly lost their livelihood, and the oil and water they ate a few days ago, it is difficult for them to go back to eating coarse grains. At this time, let them join the army again, and the military salary will be doubled, and these will have to be committed. Moreover, Jian Wushuang has already prepared 1,000 taels of cash. He is more than that. If you want to expand, then expand to the extreme. Ordnance can't be robbed, but you have to know how to make it yourself, such as bows and arrows, horses and forged swords. These can be done in Shajia town. Some blacksmith shops in the town have been taken down by him. All of this started after the good old days left. Blacksmiths are iron rice bowls, so there is no need to take risks with them, lest they be held accountable. Jian Wushuang didn't have time to talk nonsense with these people, so he could only force it. Directly let people help their wives, children and children. Either do it together, or sink the ship together. Of course, all of this was done in secret, and we couldn't let outsiders know, let alone the good old man. Although these people are innocent, as long as they work hard, Jian Wushuang will pay. They robbed the silver warehouse, and Chen Mozi's family got more than 10,000 taels of silver, and several hundred taels of gold, plus the supplies, gold and silver looted from the merchant ship. Now Jian Wushuang can be said to be accustomed to a lot of money. The only thing that is bad is food and grass. This thing is strictly controlled, and it is all being shipped to it. Don't go through here either. After all, the rich and powerful are transporting gold and silver treasures or weapons, and each ship can buy hundreds of thousands of dan of grain. There's no need to steal food, and you can't make money if you don't. But the first thing Jian Wushuang needs to expand his armament is food and grass. But it can't be implemented now, and he will have to wait until he has all the staff. After the porter downstairs was full, he found a cool place to squat again, waiting for the order with blank eyes. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. One of the guys below immediately shouted. Hundreds of porters were called downstairs. When they heard the call, their hearts sank. The ones that should come are still coming, and they are all worried about being fired. But Jian Wushuang took the next sentence, but it made their eyes light up. There are 1,000 taels of silver here, all stolen from those corrupt officials. This money belongs to you. I will give it all today. After he finished speaking, he was directly lifted up. There are more than 300 people here, and everyone can get 3 taels of silver. That's $30. This money is enough for their family of 7 or 8 to live for several years, provided that you don't eat meat. But this is free money. Now even if they are fired, they can get by with the money. Soon 1,000 taels of silver were moved out again. This time their eyes became even hotter. Is it possible you still have to send it? I'm obedient. It's the first time I've gotten so much money. It turns out that Chen Mozi was greedy for so much. Damn it. Many people couldn't help but scold Chen Mozi for his greed. How could they have seen so much money? In fact, Jian Wushuang got all the money from the silver warehouse. Chen Mozi's family was all banknotes, and there was not much money. But the banknotes can't be exchanged so much in the bank warehouse. In order to prevent these banknotes from becoming waste paper, Jian Wushuang asked Xiang Yang to go to Shenshui town next door to exchange them. Be sure to redeem. It takes cash to feed people. As the discussion below grew louder, Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Someone stopped the sound. At this time, Jian Wushuang said again, Brothers, there is still 1,000 taels of silver here. I know that some people have also been bullied by corrupt officials and blackmailed by bullies. Now you have to help me divide the 1,000 taels of silver. 1 or 2 silver per person. But there is a premise. Having said that, he paused. His purpose is to recruit soldiers, not old and young women and children. So a rule was set. Must let the eldest son or eater of each family, no more than 35 years old, no less than 18 years old to come to receive. Those porters didn't think much about these rules at all, and immediately turned their heads, and went back to call someone. Jian Wushuang gave a time limit. Assemble at noon tomorrow. The money will be gone if it is late. As soon as the voice fell, everyone flew home as if they were flying. Either pull relatives or pull friends. If there are not enough people in Shajia town, go to other towns. Because they also have benefits. Pull a person, there are 5 hanging money. This rule makes them even crazier. The first step of sending money has been done. We can find a place to drink tea and see the group of people you got. Jian Wushuang walked downstairs with his hands behind his back. Wang Luan reacted from the shock and hurriedly followed down the stairs. They're all robbers from Jiangyang. I met them on the road before, and I arranged them in restaurants. It's just that these people are like bandits. It's not easy to discipline them. Wang Luan was a little worried. Jian Wushuang didn't care, but said, the most feared thing in troubled times is the arrogant soldier. Inside the restaurant, there was a lot of noise at this time. Several of Wang Lun's confidants are entertaining these robbers from Jiangyang, who are eating on the snack street near Yongcheng. When asking, he said his intentions, so that Jian Wushuang would not waste his words. These Jiangyang robbers are the most well-informed. Knowing that the small wharf is on the rise, they all want to come and eat meat. You can eat, but it can't be limited to just eating meat. Jian Wushuang likes to draw big cakes for B. If these people are just trying to grab the money, he will not use it. Theft. You can steal gold and silver, and you can steal people and things. But to become bigger and stronger is to steal the country and steal the world. Jian Wushuang wants people with big ambitions. Of course, it will also give some sweetness in advance. However, these people would make Tai Mian Liangchen uncomfortable, so he chose this time to treat the guests. Treat guests, send money and solicit. All in one go. On the wine table, Jian Wushuang took a slight test first. There are several of them, which Wang Luan personally introduced is really good. All are good hands. But it also depends on the person's temperament. If it is the kind of pure trouble, give the money away directly, so as not to clean up the door by yourself. Fortunately, the people at the table with him are some bosses, or some good players with trump cards, and they are not the kind of short-sighted people. 4229/10639005. Chapter 6259. Chapter 6259. Sprinkle money. If it is some short-sighted person, he is not worthy of a table. After Wang Lun's introduction and his own testing, Jian Wushuang quickly took his attention. Everyone is the master of the mountain. My little temple can't accommodate you. Jian Wushuang pursed the corner of his mouth, revealing a wry smile. This sentence made several mountain masters on the table stunned, saying that it was good to cooperate, or if it was ugly, they came to defect. Why are you still rejecting it? And it's so neat that they don't give them a chance to make concessions. When he came, Wang Luan said that Jian Wushuang was a great talent, and he had to put his arms around the wine table. Each of them is very restrained, and there is no bandit like before. It's not the same person at all in the downstairs lobby. It's no wonder that Jian Wushuang doesn't like this. Wang Luan saw that everyone's faces were dark, and he felt that Jian Wushuang was a little embarrassed, so he hurriedly winked. Almost got it, they are the bosses of each mountain. It is too shameless, and it is easy to have a backlash. What's more, they don't have a lot of chips in their hands now. It's just that Jian Wushuang is exaggerating too much. The territory is only a team of 5,000 people. The result was 30,000. As a result, there are no 300 people now. It was also a group of cavalry wandering outside, and 100 heavy infantry, who frightened these big brothers on the mountain. Otherwise, no one will come to talk to you. Seeing everyone looking at him, Jian Wushuang gave a smirk, then turned around and said, I'm afraid you guys have misunderstood what I said. My meaning is very simple. This temple in Shajia town can't accommodate me, but the rest of the town can. Ladies and gentlemen, and I will give money and people to help you form your own team. The goal is not large. There are 1,000 people on each hill. If you need money, give money. And if you need people, the ordnance instructor will send it together. This sentence of his made everyone stunned, especially Wang Luan. Looking at Jian Wushuang with an incomprehensible look, he may also be looking at a fool. Send money to people. To these bandits, isn't that smashing their own signs? And once the other party grows up, what should I do if they don't listen to them? For a while, Wang Lun's face was dark with anger. Jian Wushuang has never discussed this matter with him, but he still endured it. And it is not good to attack directly. The point is, it's useless for him to have an attack now. Now a bunch of big brothers on the table are looking at Jian Wushuang greedily. And these people in Shajia town don't look at some of his confidants, but once they develop and grow, they will still be Jian Wushuang. His voice will be lower and lower. Jian Wushuang saw Wang Lun's worry, stood up and patted him on the shoulder, looked at everyone and said, I know you will be very puzzled why I do this. It's actually very simple. I've developed a lot recently. Quick, there is no shortage of people. And I think it may not be a good thing for everyone to work with me. It is better to develop independently. I will give what is missing. The only requirement is that in the future, when we meet people at the gate of the yamen, we must unite. I was the first to kill him. The naked benefits and the naked threats shocked everyone. Immediately they got up, drank the wine in their bowls, and swore each other. This is also an alliance. The big brothers Wang Luan called have more than 100 people under them. But they are helpless and have a small territory. They have no money and no one, so they cannot grow up. Now that Jian Wushuang wants to help them plan their territory, they all up their ears and listen to the detailed plan. Jian Wushuang took out the map and marked the 16 towns in Yongcheng. I divided the 5 mountain masters in detail. Everyone takes 2 towns. That is to say, 10 towns have been divided, and there are still 6 towns. Jian Wushuang now has 3 planned. Shajia town has been taken down. Qingzhou town has entered the city, and Shenshui town, known as the Binhai Granary, is bound to win. The last 3 towns are the closest towns to Yongcheng. One of them is Qingshan town, which Jian Wushuang has heard of. The town's specialty is iron ore. Once taken, the ordnance will be guaranteed in the future. There are also 2 major towns, which are the barrier of Yongcheng. They can't eat it at present, so they can only put it aside. Jian Wushuang did not say all the specific matters, but first asked them to bring money back to recruit troops. After arranging these mountain masters, there are still several famous Jiangyang thieves on the table. Hearing Jian Wushuang's grand ambitions just now, each and everyone's eyes glowed. Steal the country. That is their best interest. Jian Wushuang was very polite to the rest, especially the young man with one ear. The man was small but strong, and his eyes sparkled. Jianghu people call one ear. There is a unique way to collect information on the entire Binhai. Therefore, Jian Wushuang values this person. Naturally, high prices were also given. Money and people are unlimited. One ear was very excited. He usually just relied on some news from the rivers and lakes to make a living. In fact, his status is not too high. As a result, now he is on an equal footing with those mountain masters. But he is also regarded as a crony by Jian Wushuang. It worked a lot for him. With gratitude and excitement, I finally got through. Brother Wang Luan, first arrange for him to be a number 20 scout. When our people come back, we can collect 100, let go of the gold and silver, let everyone match horses, and form their own scouts. Wang Luan next to him just nodded dumbly after hearing this. Just a rough calculation. It has already spent tens of thousands of taels of silver. Already stunned. When was it so rich and spent so much money in a day? The money spent by the key is no different from the money sent out for nothing. Of course he feels distressed. Brother Wang Luan? Jian Wushuang looked at the other party in a daze and shouted again. Only then did Wang Luan react. And he nodded quickly and said, Yes, you can do it as you see fit. He had completely lost sight of what Jian Wushuang was going to do. Just wave your hand and do whatever you want. The main reason is to see Jian Wushuang's ability these days. He can't match the force of force, and he can't even compare to the calculation. You can only fight beside Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was very satisfied when he saw that Wang Luan had no meaning. Otherwise, he has to plan a feng shui for the other party. The scout information was handed over to one ear. Jian Wushuang is still thinking about finding some talented people, or taking responsibility for the force. But looking at the rest of them, it is difficult for them to hold important positions. However, the ability of several of them is not too bad, and they are all accepted one by one, and let them be responsible for checking and balancing those mountain masters. It is said to be helping in the past, but it is actually monitoring, so that the two sides are fighting each other. Jian Wushuang is only responsible for dispatching people. Finished main table. Wang Luan also wanted to take him to other boxes to show his face, so he could take a look and decide. Chapter 6260. Chapter 6260. There is no one who can fight, however. Jian Wushuang felt that it was unnecessary, so he shied away directly. But just as he was about to go downstairs, he heard a quarrel in the lobby. Can't afford to lose. I saw that on the loose table in the lobby. They were fighting fiercely to wrestle their arms. And one of them blushed after losing, and almost got into a fight. Wang Luan frowned upon seeing this, and immediately went downstairs to make a clearance. To the strong man who shouted that he couldn't afford to lose, he said, "This brother, please forgive me for not being well entertained today. It's my people who are petty." After he finished speaking, he turned his head and glanced at his heart. And the black-faced man was also very happy. He quickly waved his hand and said, "That's it. I'm here this time to see the strength of your little wharf. I don't care about that." Oh. As soon as Wang Luan heard what the other party said, he immediately became interested. This black-faced man with feelings was here to spy on them. But to say it like that, his temperament is a bit too straight. Soon a white-robed jinshi who accompanied him stopped the black-faced man, clasped his fists politely at Wang Luan, and said, "My brother is relatively simple and honest, and I hope Wang will not have ordinary knowledge at the helm." The title of the helm comes from the master of the dock. The boss of the small dock is naturally the helm. Wang Lun's mind is okay. Naturally he won't be angry. But he didn't pay any more attention to the two of them. After a few polite words, he was ready to leave. There aren't many good players in Shaoquan, not one who can fight. At this time, the black-faced man muttered softly, but the atmosphere solidified again. "What did you blackhead say?" The group of people in the small dock suddenly stood up, all of them looking like they were eating people. The white-clothed Jinshi's face sank, and he immediately stepped forward and covered his sweaty mouth. It may be too late. At this time, no matter how broad-minded Wang Luan was, he couldn't let this black-faced man go back like this. You have to find a good player to practice with the opponent. Otherwise, you will lose the adult today. Jian Wushuang also became interested when he saw this, especially the opponent's combination. At first glance, one of the white-robed jinshi looked like a dog-headed military sergeant, while the other looked like a guard, honest and upright, but with brute force. Wang is at the helm. If my brother is drunk, don't take it seriously. They'll let him punish him for drinking. Jinshi Bai looked very angry, but there was an incomprehensible look in his eyes. Jian Wushuang sees people very accurately. He didn't like the little fish and shrimp that came today, so most of them were sent away. Leaving some barbarians to attack the city for him is easy to control. But after seeing the look in the eyes of this man in white, he felt that the highlight of the day was in the lobby. Without waiting for Wang Luan to speak, Jian Wushuang stood on the stairs and shouted. As the saying goes, the text is no first, and the martial arts is no second. If you don't try it, how do you know if there are any masters in our small wharf? Second gear. The small wharf in the lobby was greeted by everyone. Jian Wushuang's prestige has increased a lot these days. These people also admire them from the bottom of their hearts. Hearing that Jian Wushuang had spoken, everyone wanted to try this black-faced man. Although it seems that this black-faced man is strong and powerful, and most people dare not get close. But Xiao Quan is also a good player, and after drinking some wine, everyone is not convinced at this time. Jinshi Bai looked at Jian Wushuang, guessed his identity, and said with a slightly nervous expression, "Although my brother has some strength, I am afraid that compared with the brothers in Shaoquan, it is still a lot worse. Why don't you forget it?" "No, how can you forget it?" The black-faced man quickly waved his hand and said, "Why do you want to make a quick decision? Let's go together." Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently and said, "Go outside and find an open place, so that I can spread my fists for you. Alright, lest you say you can't let go of your fists." After the black-faced man finished speaking, he strode out of the door. Wang Luan nodded as well, and several experts from the small dock immediately followed. As for white-robed Jinshi, he looked at him with some scruples, but his eyes couldn't hide it. Jian Wushuang also followed, but he wanted to see what the other party was up to. In the open space outside the restaurant, everyone stood in a circle. The first person to play was a hero from a small dock. He was shirtless. Although he was not as burly as a black-faced man, his tendons were not bad. One of the two is more than 9 feet tall, and the other is 9 feet tall. All about the same. Let's start. Jian Wushuang's voice was indifferent. As soon as the two heard it, they shot at the same time. They all stretched out their hands to hug each other's waist. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang felt the same way. There are no tricks to speak of. It's wrestling, it's all about strength. The naked man at the small dock dragged the black-faced man with both hands, but his strength was not at the same level, and he was thrown directly to the ground by a reverse fall. Yes, being thrown to the ground was obviously unconvincing, and he wanted to turn over again, but was called down by Wang Luan. If you lose, you don't need to be rude, or you really can't afford to lose. If one doesn't work, replace the next one. But the few good players from the small dock are not the enemies of the black-faced big man. This made Wang Luan a little embarrassed. One ear stood beside him and whispered to Jian Wushuang, "Second gear. I have a few brothers who are good at it. Why don't I let them try?" "No, this kind of thing must be done by the people at the small dock." Jian Wushuang didn't mean that one ear was not from the small dock, but felt that if the other party just joined the party and pulled people over to support the scene, wouldn't it be smashing his own signboard? He had seen before that this black-faced man was not simple. In boxing and kung fu, even he is not an opponent. "Your Excellency is really good." Wang admires it. Although Wang Luan couldn't hide his face, he knew that it was time to end. Some people next to them, who are going to defect to the small pier, also have strange eyes. Although the small dock now has its own territory and power, it needs money, and it needs people and people, but the quality is not very good. "Don't fight so soon. I haven't even warmed up yet." The black-faced man raised his forehead, looked very disdainful. At this time, the white-robed Jinshi next to him just smiled and said nothing, but did not speak to discourage him. Jian Wushuang stood behind and took a deep breath. It was almost time for him to appear. This black-faced man and the white-robed Jinshi are not simple. Either accept it as a dog, or eradicate it in advance, and absolutely cannot let it go. And the other party is definitely not two people. It is definitely an accomplice, but the identity is not revealed. "Since I haven't warmed up yet, why don't I have 2 moves with this brother?" Jian Wushuang came with his sword. Everyone was stunned, but quickly responded. The last time Jian Wushuang won the Huda captain, it was widely spread locally, and now there are rumors of him in all corners of the world. Shijiaku Sword God. Chapter 62-61. Chapter 62-61. Take down with a sword. Jinshi in white looked at Jian Wushuang with his sword coming. His face was startled, and he persuaded him with kind words. "Second block, if you use a weapon, my black-faced brother is using an axe. I think it's better to stop it. No, you have to be so serious. The visitor is a guest. How can we be neglected? Since it is not enjoyable, I will accompany this brother to have a good time." After Jian Wushuang finished speaking, he directly drew his sword and went up. The black-faced man also took out a pair of terrifying mountain axes from behind. Coupled with Kong Wu's powerful arms, wielding a huge mountain axe, he seems to be able to handle it with ease. But it's a lot less technical. Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship uses the Wushuang swordsmanship that mortals were proficient at back then. This kind of swordsmanship is pure and natural, and there is no flaw at all. The double axe couldn't touch him at all. The sword light circulated, and the shocked crowd retreated again and again. Even the white-robed Jinshi frowned, because he is also a swordsman, but compared to Jian Wushuang, his methods are like that of a child. Facing Jian Wushuang's attack, the black-faced man was defeated, and the double axe smashed into the air every time, unable to touch Jian Wushuang at all. However, the tip of Han Mang's sword has been staring at his neck. With no way to retreat, he could only raise his axe to protect his face. We admit defeat. The Jinsher in white hurriedly shouted loudly. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, used the tip of his sword to touch the neck of the black-faced man. And if it was later, the other party would fall. Call. The black-faced man took a deep breath and put down the axe in his hand, only to see that the tip of the sword was less than a finger away from his neck, and he was sweating profusely. He is not the kind of master who is afraid of death, but the cold air when the sword tip touched his neck forced him to sweat and made him not dare to move. There is another reason, because this competition is not a life-and-death battle. Just click and stop. Jian Wushuang unhurriedly retracted the sword into the sheath, cupped his hands and said, "Brother is very strong, but the usage of this mountain-opening axe is a bit poor. If there is a suitable axe method, I will definitely not be an opponent." Second gear is too modest. Not only is his strategy detached, but he also has such force. He is truly a hero with both civil and military skills. Jinsher in white hurriedly stepped forward, this time without the previous temptation. The same is true of the black-faced man. He doesn't care about Jian Wushuang's strategy, he only talks about his strength. He was convinced that Jian Wushuang could defeat him. At this time, he also looked at Jian Wushuang with admiration. It's an exaggeration, but it's just a wave in this chaotic world. But the two of them are extraordinary people. Why don't you go to the canal and talk about it? Jian Wushuang hummed again, giving the opponent enough face, and then threw out the olive branch. At this time, the white-robed Jinsher was also sincerely convinced and said, "I can't ask for it." The problem was solved, and the face of the small dock was saved. Moreover, Jian Wushuang added a bit of admiration in the eyes of these people. Whether it is strategy or force, he is very good at it. In this chaotic world, following such a character will not be too bad no matter what. But this made Wang Luan a little embarrassed. He couldn't beat Jian Wushuang, and now his popularity is not as good as Jian Wushuang. Although there are a lot of cronies, there are just over 100 people. If Jian Wushuang waved his arms, he might have to leave halfway. And the people recruited later will inevitably go to Jian Wushuang. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang didn't care about that. The wooden building in Shijiaku, Jian Wushuang personally entertained the white-robed Jinsher and the black-faced big man. They also knew the names of the two during the banquet. Although I didn't have much time to come to Binhai County, these days I also got to know some celebrities in the county. The two in front of them are not considered elegant, but they are full of notoriety. Which black-faced man? Black Bull. He is a well-known gangster in the county. With his brute force, he once singled out a catcher at the Yamen gate without falling behind. This Jian Wushuang is experienced. The nickname is also extraordinarily loud, and the people in the rivers and lakes call it Mad Cow. As for the men in white clothes, one cannot draw conclusions based on the appearance of the other party. This person is even more feared by the government than the Black Cow, because behind him, there is a group of 800 bandits. He is the chief white paper fan of Qingshui Mountain, nicknamed Wu Xing. Courageous and resourceful, he is also a leading figure in Binhai County. Knowing the identity of the other party, Jian Wushuang also began to think about the other party's purpose. With these 2 rounds, he is much worse in terms of qualifications and strength. There are 800 heroes on Qingshui Mountain, not the porters he recruited, but the real bandits who kill without blinking an eye. Now that these 2 people came to Shajia town, what did they intend? Jian Wushuang saw the wine after 3 tours and began to test it. Brother Wu, this time, it shouldn't be a special test, right? Wu Xing heard the words, slowly put down the wine glass. His face became serious, and then said in a low voice, "To be honest, this time I came with the mission of my mountain master." "Oh." Jian Wushuang pretended to be puzzled. "What task? If you can help by sitting down, just say it." In fact, you don't need to ask to know what the opponent's attention is. It is just that they are developing a little faster, and some are afraid to try it out. If the strength is not very good, it can be annexed. If the strength is comparable or even stronger than Qingxuishan, then cooperation must be considered. Now it's time for Wuxing to come. I can't see how strong they are, because the people and horses have not yet developed. It's just a preliminary plan. Even if Jian Wushuang is brave and resourceful, it is not worth much effort under Qingshui Mountain. As soon as Wuxing opened his mouth, he also verified his guess. This time, Qingshui Mountain gave Wuxing various tasks. That is to say, if you see people talking about people, you will talk about ghosts. From the other party's words, Jian Wushuang knew his own weight and should be a ghost. Cooperation. Right. Wuxing nodded slowly, and then said, Our Qingshui Mountain is in the southwest. Although it does not rely on the canal, it is the gate of land in Yongcheng. If Brother Wushuang can handle the gate of water, then the next time we drink it will be in Yongcheng. It's gone. Ha. Jian Wushuang laughed and did not answer. There is only one Yongcheng. How can I share it with anyone? But the other party's words are also a little threatening. Lulu's life gate is indeed in Qingshuishan's hands. If they want to take Yongcheng, first of all, it is too dangerous to go up the waterway, and it is no use for their small boats. The best way is to go overland. But now the land route is in the opponent's hands. Cooperation is imminent, but friction may arise later. It is a question of who has the final say in entering Yongcheng. Jian Wushuang's hesitation was right, because Wuxing was also a little hesitant. The meaning of Qingshuishan is obvious. Cooperation to win Yongcheng. As for who calls the shots, it depends on the strength. It's a big deal. I have to discuss this matter with Big Brother Wang Luan. And I've developed relatively fast recently, and I haven't really digested it yet, so don't worry. Chapter 62-62. Chapter 62-62. I heard that there are immortals in the North Sea. Jian Wushuang did not agree directly, and used Wang Luan to vaguely pass. The king is at the helm. Wuxing murmured, and his tone was a little weird when he called Wang Lun's name. If ordinary people listen, they will definitely be able to hear some flavors. In fact, it's almost straight up. What is he, Wang Luan? Wouldn't it be more enjoyable to kill him and make himself a king? Why work under a little thief? But Wuxing is a smart person. He didn't speak out, but made side-by-side comments. It's good to talk about the ranking order of Qingshui Mountain. Brother Wushuang is an all-round talent in both civil and military affairs. Even in my Qingshui Mountain, he is also the owner of the mountain, and my brother has always been a man who is capable of hard work. Speaking of Qingshui Mountain, there is really a lack of such people as Wushuang brother. And the position of the deputy mountain master is still vacant. Jian Wushuang pretended to be interested and said, Well, this is different from what I heard. Who doesn't know that Qingshuishan has the most heroes? How can they be short of free talents? This kind of temptation and bewitching is of little use to him. If ordinary people are definitely tempted at this time, even if they don't vote for Qingshui Mountain, they will get rid of Wang Luan. But Jian Wushuang would not do that. He doesn't care about who is the boss. What he cares about is the chips in his hand. This meal is full of flavor. In addition to winning, they also talked about the worldview. Although there are some conspiracy theories in the front, but the back is chatting with sympathy. From the situation in Jiang country, we talked about the pattern of this world. Before drinking, they were just a group of thieves in Binhai County of Jianghua. But after drinking, the entire South Seven Kingdoms did not take it seriously. The topic of the two was also pulled to the other side of the sea. The prosperous Tang dynasty. That is the peak of the country. After finally meeting a learned and talented person, Jian Wushuang also asked many questions about how big the world is. He now knows that the Tang dynasty is very big, but don't know more information. Wuxing knows not only geography, but also astronomy. After hearing his words, he pondered for a while, then paused for a while and said, Don't be afraid of jokes. What I say may be subjective. I don't know much about this world, but I guess that apart from these scattered continents, there is definitely a supercontinent in the depths of the ocean, and there is definitely a rumored Shangxian on this continent. Very. Jian Wu's eyes are enlarged. Although it was the other party's guess, he just wanted to hear these things. That's right, I studied under Yinnan Mountain. My teacher had the honor to travel to the Immortal Island in the South China Sea. It is said that the Immortal Island is actually some Taoist crown on the island, but there is a qi refiner on one of the islands. He can dance with qi. The sword is extremely mysterious, and it is rumored that he only learned the magic from that supercontinent. Wu Xing talked eloquently. Jian Wushuang asked a few more questions. It's a pity that this incident was all his master's experience in the early years, and now it has turned into ashes. At least there is a period of time. Can't find it now. But this gave Jian Wushuang confidence. It shows that this world is really a fairy. Although I don't know how strong it is. As long as it can be cultivated. From these pieces of news, Jian Wushuang also found doubts. That is, these rumors are all related to qi training. Whether it's a qi trainer from the Tang dynasty, a qi trainer from Xiandao, or a qigong from Xiaoyang Wang. It seems to be related to gas. This is different from the cultivation system in the outside world. But there are traces. He has been to many worlds, and he can even create worlds and recreate new cultivation systems. Night falls. Send Wu Xing and the two to live in the restaurant, and they will go to see each other early tomorrow morning. He simply lived in the restaurant himself. Inside the room, without a trace of sleepiness, he came to the window and looked at the bright moon with 1,000 thoughts in his heart. Not thinking about the things of the day, but thinking about this world. When they first came in, the demons gathered around, desperately trying to get out. He remembered that at that time there was a sea beneath the black fog. I thought that the sea was where they came from, but now he doesn't think so. This world can't contain those demons. Back then, the monsters in the black fog were all powerful, and they all reached the level of the universe god. And there were even monsters at the level of the 6-star universe god. So powerful, a movement can make his current world shatter. This world, I am afraid it is a multidimensional world, with the upper and lower realms. And the 8 achievements here are the lower realms. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. If so, it will be more difficult for him to get out. He was brought here, and his consciousness was cut off. I don't know how long it will take to be discovered. Although Hui Qing and the others often contacted him, the time interval was too far for him to be immortal. Remember, the last contact was 100,000 era. If he waited for another 100,000 epochs, he didn't know how many times he would reincarnate. Even if you contact him in advance, and find that his consciousness is isolated and come to rescue, where do you start? Looking for the Realm King, or the Great Realm King? I am afraid it will be useless. The strength of his external deity was stronger than that of the realm at his peak. It can be said to be the first person under time and space. Even he can be isolated. There is nothing simple in this world. And the girl named Xing Luo also had the breath of Wanlu. The name has another star, which reminds him of the star spirit. The original Wanlu Shenmu has been taken away. The breath appeared in this world. Jian Wushuang couldn't figure it out, so he leaned on the reclining chair and fell asleep. In a dream, he saw the figure again. Turn your back to him. This time he was calm and just watched. Suddenly, a name came to mind. Prophet. As soon as he remembered the name, he was awakened from his sleep. Jian Wushuang was a little helpless, shook his head, and wanted to use his consciousness to connect the scene again. But it couldn't appear in his mind, and he even called the prophet several times to himself. The world around them remains the same. Finally gave up. Outside the door, Xiang Yang knocked on the door a few times. But when he saw that he didn't say a word, he pushed the door directly and entered. I made it, this time we made it big. Xiang Yang strode into the room with a cloth pocket in his hand. Whoa! Only when he poured out everything in the cloth pocket did he find that it was full of gold and silver jewelry. But Jian Wushuang didn't care at all. He was still entangled in the dream just now. Xiang Yang lowered his voice and said, "This is only a small part. I went to exchange the banknotes this time, and grabbed a full 10 cars on the road. Is worth 100,000 taels." Oh, Jian Wushuang still didn't care, just responded slightly. This made Xiang Yang a little puzzled and said in surprise, "What's wrong with you? With so much money, don't you wonder who I stole it from? Who? Jian Wushuang asked cooperatively. Qingshui Mountain. Hearing this, he suddenly widened his eyes and said in surprise, "What did you say? This is something from Qingshui Mountain." No, Qingshuishan didn't take it and I cut him off," Xiang Yang said proudly. "You don't know how I took more than a dozen people and grabbed food from the tiger's mouth." Chapter 62-63. Chapter 62-63 Tang Eru Trouble. Jian Wushuang frowned and said, "I forgot to tell you, now there is a white paper fan from Qingshui Mountain in this restaurant." Wu Xing. Xiang Yang was also a little surprised. He also didn't expect people from Qingshui Mountain to appear here. But the robbery has been robbed, and it can only be said that the other party is not capable of them. 100,000 taels of silver. This is fact. The entire Qingshui Mountain probably does not have so much silver. What should we do now? Xiang Yang was surprised. Jian Wushuang pondered for a while, and said, "This Qingshui Mountain will fight us sooner or later. Since we have robbed it, let's rob it. But people will let them go first. If we detain them again, we will lose face. It's gone. At present they are still bandits, not the rebel army. It didn't do anything good after all. Bandits are not fighting and killing, but human beings. Otherwise, someone will come to you. Only yesterday he attracted a group of large and small hills. Now turn around and do things that go against your reputation, and the money will be wasted. As for the tiger's mouth, it's not really. Qingshuishan himself is incompetent, so he can't blame them. And if this matter is said, it will damage the reputation of Qingshuishan. At present, Qingshuishan is still the #1 bandit gang in Binhai County. If outsiders know that Qingshui Mountain has been suffocated by the people of the small dock, it will increase the reputation of the small dock. Therefore, Jian Wushuang decided to keep quiet. According to what he learned yesterday, Wu Xing is also considered the #1 figure in the troubled times. Absolutely dare not take risks, let alone take the initiative to fight against the small wharf. After a brief discussion between the two, Jian Wushuang asked Xiang Yang to go to Shijiaka first, and he had to send money today. And he still needs to send Wu Xing and He Niu. Outside the inn, the 2 fast horses were ready. Jian Wushuang and Wu Xing exchanged a few words, looked at each other's back disappearing from sight, and then turned back to the inn, currently multi-line development. He handed over the gathering of manpower to Xiang Yang. Wang Luwen and others are responsible for the specific planning. He is waiting for a good day. This is the key. Once they get the support of the opponent's father-in-law, they will get rid of the identity of bandits and become a rebel army. And the subsequent attack on Yongqing will also become a matter of course. Jianggui did not dare to resist the attack of Yugua, so they took up this banner. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the windowsill on the 2nd floor of the inn, staring at the path in the distance. When the sun was up to 3 poles, a group of people finally appeared on the path. The sound of hoofs was scattered, and there were not many people. Jian Wushuang hurriedly went downstairs, when the team also arrived. Which tiger head Captain Tang Eru is headed, the rest are all soft armored cavalry. You are Jian Wushuang. Tang Eru glanced at him, his eyes raised very high, with an air of arrogance. I don't know what the other party is proud of, but Jian Wushuang fell off his horse and captured him alive, and he even posed. That is to say, Jian Wushuang has a generous heart, doesn't care about this, and replied indifferently, "It's right here." If it wasn't for the instructor's order, I'd have to reckon with you about the last attack on me today. Tang Eru snorted angrily. Hearing the instructor, Jian Wushuang frowned. Things were not as simple as he thought. The teacher in Qingzhou town was someone who had seen the world, so it was impossible for him to join a group of bandits, just because his son-in-law said a few words. But Jian Wushuang didn't expect that Tai Mian Liangchun would be detained. And now Tang Eru wants to take him to Qingzhou town. As for why, he didn't say a word. Jian Wushuang could endure what happened in front of him, but he couldn't bear this one. He didn't give the right words, he said to let him go, and it was still that kind of commanding tone. A whistle came from his mouth, and the horse's hooves swayed in shock. After a while, A group of cavalry rushed over. It is the 50 light cavalry that Xiao Quan has just formed. Leading the team is Scarbolt. As soon as he saw Tang Eru, he couldn't help sneering. Yo, who am I? It turns out that you are a defeated general. After speaking, without seeing how embarrassed the other party's face was, he turned over and dismounted, and walked towards Jian Wushuang. Tai Mian Liangchen was detained. The news that the person with one ear just got in Qingzhou town. After Scar Xuan finished speaking, he took out a bamboo tube, and handed it to Jian Wushuang. This sentence made Tang Eru stunned. He had just left Qingzhou town. No one knows more about the matter over there than him. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang received the news on his back foot, and for a while, he was amazed at the speed of Jian Wushuang's intelligence. In fact, Jian Wushuang himself did not expect this ear to be so fast. People who were divided yesterday began to receive news today. And without his orders, he can send the news he wants to know. I opened the bamboo tube, and there was a note inside. Come on, let's talk. The simple 4 words are the handwriting of a good day. Jian Wushuang squeezed the note into a ball. He originally wanted to go to Qingzhou town to meet the coach. It's just that Tang Eru just gave him this dismay, and made him very uncomfortable. And he wants to keep these people as chips. If he is detained anywhere, he will die before he is successful. Detain them, and prepare a fast horse for me. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, signaling his move. Tang Eru stared at the situation and said, Jian Wushuang, you dare to touch me? Why don't you dare? Jian Wushuang quickly drew his sword, pulled out a sword body, knocked the opponent off the horse, stepped on the opponent's shoulders and got on Tang Eru's green fast horse, and said indifferently, You don't need to prepare a fast horse, this one is very suitable. Good luck. This time, I won the tiger-headed captain the same as last time. The rest of the people naturally did not dare to make another move. And this time, Tang Eru came to invite Jian Wushuang to Qingzhou town. But he was a defeated general, so he was embarrassed to speak. I thought about finding the last place, but I didn't expect it to be won by Jian Wushuang again. You don't have to send it to the small wharf this time. Just treat it well in the inn. After saying that, Jian Wushuang tightened the reins and was about to leave, but Scar Xuan said a little worriedly, Would you like to lead the team? There are people from the Yamen in Qingzhou town. No need. He didn't even turn around, and rode his horse straight to Qingzhou town. Fortunately, the official road was spacious, and there was no delay along the way, and he arrived at Qingzhou town in less than an hour. Just looking from the outside, Qingzhou town is much bigger than Shajia town. It used to be the former site of the first elite Qinglei camp of Jiang State. Later, as there were more military members, it gradually became a military town. If it weren't for the intruders from Vietnam, it would be impossible for only 200 people to be stationed here. Entering Qingzhou town, after inquiring about the residence of the legendary old teacher, he dismounted and walked towards a small alley. At his peak, the legendary coach, Yang Zixing, was also the head coach of 100,000 Qing Lei Jun. But they live in such a small alley. After walking a few steps, I saw a quaint gate with a plaque above it with the Phnom Penh Yang's house 4229/10766953. Chapter 6264. Chapter 6264 Life. Undefeated Jian Wushuang threw the horse on the ground stake, walked to the door and knocked lightly a few times. After a while, someone opened the door. It was a girl with freckles on her face. When she saw him, she lowered her head shyly, then turned her head and shouted to the courtyard, Abba, there are guests. Jian Wushuang was very indifferent to this, seeing his shy girl, from the northern time and space can be ranked in the world continent. After the girl finished shouting, she said in a subtle tone, Come in first, my dad is drinking with my brother-in-law. As he said that, Jian Wushuang came in. After entering the small courtyard, Jian Wushuang discovered that there was something special. Even though it is an alley outside, the yard inside is very spacious, and there are many standard weapons hanging on the walls of the yard, many of which are complete with swords, guns and sticks. This is also in line with that instructor Yang, Just as he was looking at the small courtyard, there was also a fierce old man standing in the door of the main room. He had an aquiline nose and a pair of transparent eyes, which made him look full of energy. Feeling the attention of those eyes, Jian Wushuang also turned to look at the door of the main room. Under the sword, I have seen Instructor Yang. His voice was neither humble nor arrogant, he just cupped his hands, and did not bend over. It is very good that mortals can receive such a great courtesy from him. The main thing is to admire each other's experience. Although they are ordinary people, they have different wonderful things. Instructor Yang stepped out of the main room and looked carefully at Jian Wushuang with a pair of eyes. Especially when he saw the sword he was carrying, there was a strange look in his eyes. How is your swordsmanship? In my life, I have never been defeated. Jian Wushuang's arrogant words made the iron-faced Liangchen in the main room startled. This is a bit different from the Jian Wushuang he knew. The previous Jian Wushuang was very low-key and modest. How could he smell so strong when he first met his father-in-law? And he spoke madly, not like the ambitious Jian Wushuang at all. He didn't know that Jian Wushuang was just telling the truth. It's a coincidence. The old man has never encountered an opponent in his life. But I use a gun. Instructor Yang suddenly kicked his hind legs, and the whole person rushed towards him, and he did not know when a long spear appeared in his hand. The head of the gun spun, and roused Jian Wushuang's eyes were stunned. And the speed is very fast, because Jian Wushuang is not at all careless. He escapes sideways with his hind legs, and then suddenly pulls out the sword around his waist. Although he has no power, however, he was quite familiar with ordinary moves. The opponent's marksmanship was sharp, not the kind of stabbing, picking, and slashing that were trained in the military, but a wild mark. This set of marksmanship is not suitable for military camps, but it is suitable for rivers and lakes. Jian Wushuang drew his sword and kept cracking the opponent's ferocious attacks. Although the opponent's marksmanship was somewhat sophisticated, for him, he was the master of weapons in this world. Finding an opportunity, he kicked the spear head with one kick, and with the long sword in his hand, chopped off the long spear with a move that Coach Yang had never seen before. All this happened very quickly. The competition between the two of them, from the beginning to the end, only took a few breaths. There is nothing to be proud of in such a short time, to win an old man, who is over 60 years old. However, with the attitude of Coach Yang, who was not convinced by his youth, he was obsessed with Jian Wushuang's move just now. He felt that even when he was young, he could not win against Jian Wushuang, because the swordsmanship just now cannot be cracked by a mortal like him. Brother Wushuang, please give me another face. This time my father-in-law is not here to embarrass you. Tai Mian Liangchen came out at this time to make a round. It also made the stunned little freckled girl react. Her father was still being held by Jian Wushuang with a sword, but she was standing there staring blankly at Jian Wushuang. There are bound to be some things that can't be said. Excuse me. Jian Wushuang retracted his sword into the sheath, his tone indifferent. Instructor Yang didn't care at all, and he pointed to the back room and said solemnly, "It really is a boy who is a hero. Liang Chen's evaluation of you is not overestimated, but underestimated." Indeed, someone like Tai Mian Liangchen would not understand Jian Wushuang. On the contrary, his father-in-law sees people very accurately. Jian Wushuang was not humble, took the sword and walked proudly to the back room. Now that you have used means to quell the other party, there is no need to look like you are thirsty for talents. That is for the literati, not for this old world. This legendary coach was by no means a good man when he was young, but he just happened to work for the court. If it is the old one's iron face, then Jian Wushuang will have to spend a lot of time. Enter the house. Tai Mian Liangchen just made an introduction, followed by the negotiation between Jian Wushuang and Instructor Yang. Talk till evening. Simple and fast. It seems that we talked for an afternoon, but this kind of thing with others rebelling can be done in half a day, which is already very fast. It is nothing more than the division of interests and the probability of success in the future. Against such mortals, Jian Wushuang can be said to be a dimensionality reduction blow, straight to the point. He knew that Coach Yang also had a son in Yongcheng, But his son was a literati, and did not inherit his father's mantle. This is even simpler. Jian Wushuang directly promised the other party that if his son had that ability, he would definitely be the master of one person, and above 10,000 people. And Qingzhou town remained unchanged. It just needed him to train his troops and horses. He doesn't need his family to do anything on the battlefield. Tai Mian Liangchen can't do this either. As for the two daughters, one is already a married woman and has nothing to do, so she can only give her benefits to a good time. The other one is even simpler. In order to make the old man completely bound to his worship, he gave a very perfect arrangement. This made Teacher Yang very happy. After dark, Jian Wushuang left with Tai Mian Liangchen. The two sides agreed to bring people to Qingzhou town in 3 days, as well as various ordnance materials. One of the most important things is to propose a marriage. Leave from Qingzhou town. The two returned to Shijiaka nonstop. At this time, endless tents have been set up here, built along the river, stretching for 10 miles. Jian Wushuang was stunned when he saw this scene. On the contrary, Tai Mian Liangchen is very indifferent. In the turbulent times, there are too many people who read www. For one bite. What's more, Jian Wushuang offered a high price to expand the manpower. Didn't expect to attract so many people. These tents are all weapons and supplies they robbed, but they didn't expect to use them at this time. Outside the camp, more than 100 people were patrolling the camp in an orderly manner at this time. As soon as he walked into Shijiaku, One Ear ran to report the situation. Before heading to Qingzhou town, he had someone arrange for One Ear to pick him up in Yongcheng. As for the person who was picked up, it was naturally the brother-in-law of Tai Liangchen, the son of the instructor Yang. As soon as he saw his brother-in-law, Tai Mian Liangchen was surprised by Jian Wushuang's preparation. That's enough. It's not like wooing a coach, it's more like wooing a general. 4229/10766954. Chapter 6265. Chapter 6265. Shenshui town. Jian Wushuang didn't say much, just patted him on the shoulder, and asked him to go to his brother-in-law to have a good chat. I went to the headquarters of the pier myself. At this time, Wang Luan was chatting with a few strangers, and when he saw him coming back, he stepped forward and said with concern, "Wushuang, are you all right? I heard Scar Xuan that you went to Qingzhou town alone, but it worried me." "Broken. It's okay. It's done over there. And now we have to send our people over there." After he finished speaking, he looked at those unfamiliar faces, and then looked at Wang Luan. "By the way, let me introduce to you. These are brothers from Langshan County, and they also brought hundreds of good players." Wang Luan introduced them one by one. It turned out that these people were fleeing, and it was said that there were hundreds of people. In fact, there were thousands of family members who also brought them. Escape from here. It can be solved by giving food, but if you don't give it, it may backlash at any time. This is not as good as those with a home, but it also has the advantage that the other party will be very hardworking. So now the most important thing is not to send money to the other party, but to settle down. The entire coastal county appeared in his mind. All point to one place. Shenshui town. Jian Wushuang stood up, pointed at the town by the canal on the map, and said, "Brother Wang Luan, the immediate priority is to take down Shenshui town, which will be used as our granary in the future, so we can arrange all these brothers there. This is not in a hurry, our food and grass." Wang Luan hesitated. It's not that he doesn't believe Jian Wushuang's judgment. If Shenshui town is not something they can think about at this time, if it is short of food and grass, they can go to Shenshui town to buy it. But to win Shenshui town, it is a bit too big. Although Shenshui town has no officers and soldiers of the imperial court, there is a bully in Shenshui town. Mr. Huang. In the whole Yongcheng, even in Binhai County, no one does not know this lord. He has 800 disciples under his command, a ruthless man who can fight against mountains and rivers. You want money, you want people, you want people. When they hit Shenshui town, they couldn't get around this Mr. Huang. Wang Luan waved his hand and first signaled those people to go down. Only Jian Wushuang and himself were left in the house. And then he said, It's not good for us to start now. It's better to let these brothers settle down in Shajia town and wait for us. It's not too late to take down Shenshui town. In fact, this is not wrong, most people will think so. But Jian Wushuang looked further. He can use money and food to win people over now. But Master Huang can't? The lips are dead and the teeth are cold. If your neighbors are self-respecting, you can only be forced to recruit soldiers and horses. The current court is almost a decoration. He won Shajia town for so many days, and there was not much movement in Yongcheng. Once this opening is open, countless people will follow suit. Why did Wu Xing of Qingshui Mountain come? Isn't it just to test the ambition of the small doc? Once ambition begins to materialize, it cannot be hidden. He doesn't even need to say. Others can guess what he does. So he can't wait. Instead, we must quickly take down Shenshui town, and even Qingshui Mountain. Only by taking these two bones down, can he be able to integrate Binhai County. Build your own power, and use the bargaining chips of mortals to meet the little Liang Wang, or approaching that little Liang Wang. As for these chips, feel free to let them go. The first choice, the first goal, is the path of cultivation, or rather the way out of here. That's the top priority. Wang Luan was a little helpless to see him so persistent. No way, there will always be collisions. Brother Wang Luan, what you said is actually quite right. Our current manpower is simply not enough to deal with Mr. Huang, but we have to try it. We are born in troubled times, and we don't have much time. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiang Yang walked in from outside. When I saw him coming back, I was not surprised. I took a sip of water and said slowly, "How is it? Has it been done in Qingzhou town?" Xiang Yang changed the subject, and Wang Luan did not continue talking about Shenshui town. When the three gathered together, Jian Wushuang told the story of Qingzhou town. "What, you asked me to marry the daughter of Instructor Yang?" Xiang Yang's eyes widened in disbelief. Jian Wushuang nodded, tapped the table, signaled the other party to calm down, then glanced at Wang Luan again, and then said, "Teacher Yang is very important to us. As long as you marry his daughter, Instructor Yang will be in charge of training troops and horses in the future. No, after 3 months, we will be able to pull out a team of 5,000 people. You have also seen those people outside, and they will continue to come in the future. Next spring, a team of 30,000 to 50,000 people is possible, and it will be only then. It is a great cause that is gradually completed. There is nothing wrong with making a little sacrifice." In fact, this was told to Wang Luan. But Xiang Yang doesn't know. He still remembers Xing Luo now, whether it's because of his emotions in the outside world, or if he wants to leave here. He needs Xing Luo's help. Although I played the two of them once, I couldn't give up. If he married and had children here, it would be completely useless. What if Xing Luo was watching them secretly? Jian Wushuang patted Xiang Yang on the shoulder, knowing what the other party was thinking. It was nothing more than fear that Xing Luo would see it. But he just hoped that Xing Luo would see. Maybe he could make the other party take the initiative to sacrifice himself. Not to let the two of them bury here. It's all gambling. The bet is done. Maybe he doesn't need to fight with mortals here. After persuading Xiang Yang, he began to prepare to send people to Qingzhou town. But in the middle, they still have to use these people to take down Shenshui town. Late at night he called an ear. "How much do you know about Mr. Huang from Shenshui town?" Jian Wushuang goes straight to the topic. He didn't want to procrastinate. As long as it was feasible, he could do it at noon tomorrow. One ear didn't expect him to ask this, and his eyes turned as smart as him. How could think of what Jian Wushuang was going to do? And he was about to say everything he knew and analyzed it incidentally. Master Huang. His name is Huang Jilang. The Huang family is the 9th oldest, but he killed his 8 brothers and won the power of the family. Although he is cruel, this guy is also very capable. He holds the entire Shenshui town firmly in his hands. He has never wavered over the years. In her 50s, she also married the 18th concubine, and her life was so nourishing. This person is extremely cold, but he is very loyal to his opponents. In fact, not all of the 800 people can fight. Only 500 people can really go into battle to kill the enemy, the good fields and so on. One Ear said carefully. Jian Wushuang nodded silently. He wasn't worried about those doormen and thugs. The only thing he was worried about was prestige. Now listening to One Ear say this, he is a little embarrassed. If the opponent is very loyal, then some people will die. Chapter 62-66. Chapter 62-66 bought people's hearts. This is difficult to do. Originally, he thought that the other party was a miser. He originally planned to find a few good players. He took advantage of the dark night to touch the Huang family. And then he first caught Mr. Huang. And then he lobbied for a while. And he won it easily. It now appears that this plan is not working. But he doesn't have enough manpower. So the decapitation can still be reserved. Then he asked some more about Huang Zhilang's hobbies and weaknesses. Blue House. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. Sure enough, neither the hero nor the hero can pass this beauty level. Around this shortcoming, he can arrange his own plans. One Ear, find some smart guys and come to Shenshui town with me tomorrow. Jian Wushuang backhanded. Yes, One Ear agreed without hesitation. But he was muttering in his heart. He only brought a few people to Shenshui town. It would be fine if he stepped on the spot. But he couldn't get close to him if he did it. Although he knew Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship, he didn't think that Jian Wushuang could be worth 100. Dismissed an ear. Only Jian Wushuang was left. Everyone is busy with their own business now. Shajia town is becoming more and more stable and prosperous. The next morning, Jian Wushuang had just walked out of the Jusha building when he found that yesterday's tent had disappeared. It was also surprisingly quiet outside. After I asked someone, I found out that everyone was dragged by Xiang Yang to the warehouse to carry ordnance. The small wharf and the materials robbed by Shijiaku were moved out. These things must be delivered to Qingzhou town in advance. People can go later, but things must be faster than people. Otherwise, the process will be delayed. Shajia town suddenly poured into tens of thousands of people. And the expenses were all on the small wharf. Every day when I open my eyes, I now need to spend 1,000 taels of silver. This made Wang Luan very distressed. He simply threw the accountant to his uncle's brother-in-law. Out of sight, out of mind. Jian Wushuang didn't have much opinion on the arrangement of personnel. His business was more important now. I didn't eat any food and went directly to the inn. There is another important guest here. Jian Wushuang, when will you let us go? The guest didn't seem to be happy and stared at Jian Wushuang. This guest is Tang Eru, who was jumped off his horse by him yesterday. Everyone is their own. Why are they so open to the outside world? Jian Wushuang walked towards the other side indifferently, found a place to sit down, looked at the delicious food on the table, and pretended to be concerned. How is it? Let's talk about the food. Don't get too close to me. It's useless to say anything before I see Instructor Yang. Tang Era glanced his head aside. At this time, Tai Mian Liangchen happened to walk in with Yang Sheng's youngest son, Yang Sheng. As soon as he saw Yang's son, Tang Era couldn't sit still. Junior brother Yang, why are you here? Without waiting for the polite Yang Sheng to speak, Jian Wushuang explained in advance. I took it over. And brother Yang will also be at the small dock in the future. No, it's the Coast Guard Army. And by the way, there is also yours. My eldest brother, Tang Dakian, will also come today. And your sister will serve in the Coast Guard in the future. Your mother is old, so I can't arrange this, but I got her 2 ingenious young men. Take care of the girl, count the time. This meeting should have left Yongcheng. With such a detailed arrangement, he started to arrange it when he returned from Qingzhou town. Tang Era was also shocked by his delicate thoughts, and his mouth widened. Now he has to do it if he doesn't want to. In addition to being captured by Jian Wushuang twice, Tang Era took a deep breath, and immediately stood up and clasped his fists at Jian Wushuang. Subordinate Tang Era, meet the second boss. When he got up, the more than 10 cronies he brought also got up one after another, and bowed to Jian Wushuang. This made Yang Sheng, who had just met him, admire him very much, and even Tai Mian Liangchen was full of admiration for Jian Wushuang's methods. But unfortunately they were mortals after all. Taking down a reckless man in the army is too easy for Jian Wushuang. Just speculating is enough. It's all my own. There's no need to be restrained. Come and have breakfast together. There's still things to do later. Jian Wushuang waved nonchalantly and let everyone sit down. If you need me to do anything, just tell me, let alone a meal. It's nothing to go to the battlefield. Tang Era no longer had the arrogance he had before. There is no way that the whole family is now properly arranged by Jian Wushuang, and he has no reason to resist. Besides, he was not valued in Yongqing before. If it weren't for Yang instructor, I am afraid that even a captain of Qingzhou town would not be able to get along. Said to be a school captain, in fact, is a miscellaneous school captain. The 4 captains in Yongqing each had a heavy army, and he had only 200 of them. Now they have been ordered by Jian Wushuang. Don't worry, eat first. Jian Wushuang pressed his wrist. He didn't panic at all. After breakfast, Tai Mian Liang Chun and his brother-in-law continued to get acquainted with Shajia town. This will be their base camp in the future. At the rear is Qingzhou town. There is still a granary missing. Not only is he moving, those mountain masters arranged a few days ago are also expanding their influence. Binhai County, the county seat behind Jiangguida, is also unstable. Originally, this place was the back road for the powerful families of Jianggua to run away. Now the chaos, the most urgent is them. Especially the site of Yongqing, which is now in a state of exhaustion. And these have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. The waterway was blocked by him, and if he wanted to come, he had to travel by land. The land route was stopped by Qingshui Mountain. Even if King Shuishan lets officers and soldiers come in to encircle and suppress them, once he resists, it is possible to contact King Shuishan to encircle the officers and soldiers together. Even if King Shuishan chose to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight, because of Xiang Yang's previous grabbing of food, the people in Qiangqing would not believe such a thing. And Qingshui Mountain won't look at it. For Jian Wushuang and the others, the current situation can be said to be a good one. Even Tang Eru, a reckless man in the army, can see it. Lieutenant Tang, let me ask you a question. What do you need most to train the army? Hearing this, Tang Eru was full, and immediately replied. The first is the need for people, and now the coastal guards are not short of people. The second is short of money. I don't know this. The third is short of food. This I guess we must be short. Haha, your analysis is good. Jian Wushuang praised without hesitation. Everyone knows this kind of thing. He was just using this question to lead Shenshui town. Hearing him talking about Shenshui town, Tang Era's eyes suddenly became murderous, and he said angrily, I know this Shenshui town. It was controlled by that Huang Zhilang, and I was excluded in Yongqing because of his son. This old guy has accumulated a lot of money and food in Shenshui town these years, and there are many people. Even the 4 captains of Yongqing are very polite to him. Chapter 62-67. Wan Dao Jianzun, he won't survive tonight. Jian Wushuang stood up, touched the hilt of the sword and said, Do you dare to take your people to Shenshui town with me? Why don't you dare? I'm still the captain of the school, and Yongqing still doesn't know about Qingzhou town. Let's go there in an open and honest way. It's just to kill Huang Zhilang. I'm afraid it will be difficult. Although Tang Eru is a savage man, but not a fool. Going with people like them is no different from sending them to death. Why are you afraid? Jian Wushuang said aggressively. It's just a mere 800 people. I said that if he let him die today, no one could stop him. Tang Eru slapped his thigh and stood up suddenly. Of course not. I'm just worried about your safety. You don't have to worry about this. Maybe if it goes well, you may not need to take action, and I can take down Huang Zhilang alone. Jian Wushuang shrugged. After saying that, he waved his hand and let the ear who was already waiting for him outside the door come in. How are you preparing? It has been arranged, Jian Wushuang said in a relaxed tone. Let's go then. A group of dozens of people rode on fast horses and went straight to Shenshui town. Along the way, I encountered many people who escaped from Langshan County, all with their families, and the direction they went to was Shajia town. Jian Wushuang looked at these people with a smile leaking from the corner of his mouth. With that comes pressure. He has to be faster. The little money in his hand is not enough for him to feed so many people. If it wasn't for Xiang Yang taking the food from the tiger's mouth, he might not be able to eat for 3 months with that little money. There must be income now. After rushing to the road for 4 hours in a row, they finally reached Shenshui town. But it didn't go in directly. Eru, bring 2 good players into casual clothes, and the rest will rest in place. Someone will come and tell you what to do later. Jian Wushuang ordered. Tang Eru said nothing, and immediately took off his armor. One Ear was well prepared, and handed them casual clothes. In this way, a group of 5 people disguised as Shangjia entered Shenshui town. Shajia town is a wharf, Qingzhou town is a military town, so Shenshui town is a complete farming town. There are 30,000 households living in the whole town, with a population of more than 100,000. The core place is not inferior to Yongcheng, which is very prosperous. And relying on the canal, there are many inns and brothels on the river bank. Find a place to stay first. Already prepared, One Ear said, and took everyone to an inn on the river bank. This inn is several times better than the one in Shajia town. The guys in the store alone are full of energy. Seeing the objectiveness of their riding, they greeted people with a smile and greeted them with horses. Jian Wushuang got off his horse, threw a silver ingot, and said indifferently, "Arrange 2 guest rooms, and prepare a table of good wine and good food." No problem. The shop assistant had never seen such a generous guest. His smile became more attentive, and he took Jian Wushuang and the others to the best box. Wait a moment. The guest room has been arranged, and the food and drink will be here soon. After Xiao Er finished speaking, he closed the door very wisely and walked downstairs lightly. Sitting by the window, Jian Wushuang looked at the calm riverside, thinking about the night's plan in his mind. Soon the wine and food were served, but no one was drinking, and they didn't even move the food, because Jian Wushuang did not move. After a while, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door, and Jian Wushuang turned his head and motioned One Ear to open the door. Opening the door, I saw 2 sturdy men in Jianghu costumes walking in. One Ear greeted the 2 of them to sit down, and Chong Jian Wushuang introduced. These 2 are brothers from Langshan County. These 2 are the killers that Jian Wushuang arranged for One Ear to find before. Jianghu people call it jackal. The tall one is a jackal, and the short one is a wolf. Both of them have a chilling aura that no strangers should enter. At first glance, they are definitely not ordinary people. Letting them come this time is also one of Jian Wushuang's plans. After his inquiries, although Huang Jilong was loyal and treated his guests very well, he didn't care about his own sons at all. It may also be because of the cannibalism at the beginning. He has not delegated power to his sons. However, his sons each wanted to follow their father's example and kill their brothers to seize power. It's just that because he has no power, he can only endure one by one. In this way, as long as Huang Jilong dies, the Huang family will fight within. At that time, they won't care how they develop, and they won't worry about dying. If he retreated, he could hold Shenshui town, and if he entered, he could support the puppet. This is his plan. If you want to be supportive, you can't kill Huang Jilong yourself first. You must find someone else to do it. So let One Ear find 2 Jianghu people. Jian Wushuang stood up, poured wine for the 2 of them in person, and said politely, "This time, I will trouble the 2 brothers, and I have already arranged the future for you. Just do it with confidence. Don't be so polite. As long as we have enough money, the 2 of us will never miss, and you don't have to worry about running away." Jackal's voice was extremely cold, and there was no emotion at all. Seeing this, One Ear hurriedly said, "Don't take offense. These 2 brothers have always been like this, and they are doing things like this. Okay, I'll wait for your good news tonight." Jian Wushuang didn't care about it. The 2 Jackal brothers drank a glass of wine, and immediately got up and left. One Ear followed. After repeating the specific situation again, he returned to the private room. "Things have been arranged." Jian Wushuang nodded lightly and then greeted. Don't be stunned, it's time to eat and drink. Go to Tsuexiang Pavilion to relax at night. Tang Eru couldn't take it anymore. He thought that Jian Wushuang came to do it himself, but he just found two Jianghu killers. He was becoming more and more incapable of seeing Jian Wushuang, and he simply stopped thinking about it, drinking and eating meat. Isn't it fragrant? After everyone was full, the sky darkened, but the water reflected light. A good show has begun. Take everyone to the Tsuexiang Pavilion next door. Don't think it's very elegant by the name. It's actually a brothel. It's just that this brothel is a little reserved. There is no such thing as the customary woman who stops everyone. There are only those ladies who cover their faces and smile. The group entered the Tsuexiang building together, crossed the exquisite wooden bridge, and came to the front of the building. No one came to greet them, and after they walked in, a woman who still had a graceful charm walked out. From her face, it could be seen that she was definitely a beautiful woman back then. After seeing Jian Wushuang and this pedestrian, he just glanced at it and walked towards Jian Wushuang. This objective, do you want to come here to listen to music or watch the scenery? What's the difference between the two? Hee, the difference here is big, the beautiful woman said shyly. One can only listen, and the other can only see. The first more exciting Ben. 0. Our pigeon must be added to favorites. Chapter 62-68. Wandao Jianzun. When a sets up an archway, the first one. Tang Eru smiled disdainfully. The beautiful woman was not annoyed when she heard it, but said neither humble nor arrogant. The song is not right, the scenery is not attractive, where is the archway? Interesting. Jian Wushuang nodded lightly with a smile. It was not the first time he had visited the brothel, but it was the first time he had seen such an interesting person, the madam. I think when I went to Daxia, I took Bai Jun Wang to visit the kiln, but it was more amorous than this. How could there be so many rules and regulations? Dare practitioners are not as reserved as these mortals, they are simply vulgar. One ear was thinking about tonight's major events, so he didn't bother to discuss directly with this beautiful woman. So he stepped forward and said, "Okay, just take my master to the riverside in the backyard, it's not bad." As soon as the beautiful woman heard this, she knew that she was introduced by a regular customer, and she didn't say anything more, and directly quoted the price. Entering the backyard riverside, one person is 30 taels of silver. The 5 of them are 150 taels. Hearing this price, Jian Wushuang felt that they were always so reserved. The asking price is simply too harsh. At the same time, he is also envious of Huang Zhilang's ability of old money, far from the Huang family's 100,000 fertile fields. And these brothel inns, almost all of Huang Zhilang's property. In the huge Shenshui town, except for those poor people, the rest of the profitable industries belong to the Huang family. No wonder Shenshui town was held so firmly in the hands of the Huang family. After paying the money, the beautiful woman took them into the river bank in the backyard. It is already a place for singing and dancing, and all the beautiful young girls dance gracefully, and the extravagant sound evokes people's hearts. Jian Wushuang and others found a place to sit, but did not see Huang Zhilang in the backyard. According to the information, Huang Zhilang will come tonight, and he will sit at the front every time. This position was also prepared for Huang Zhilang. Perhaps because it was still early, Jian Wushuang didn't take it to heart, so he plunged into it and waited for the fish to take the bait. After about a quarter of an hour, a group of people had already changed on the field. At this time, there was a commotion outside. Jian Wushuang turned his head, looked for the voice, and saw a middle-aged man in a yellow jacket striding over. A few people behind him looked around. These were all expected by Jian Wushuang, but 2 of them made Jian Wushuang frown. Wuxing Hengyo. These 2 people from Qingshui Mountain are actually here. Obviously, after leaving one day, he came directly to Shenshui town. The yard was so big, he couldn't avoid the eyes of the 2 at all. He simply stood up and greeted the other party. "Brother Wu, what a coincidence." Seeing him here, Wuxing was also very surprised. First glanced at Huang Zhilang, and then hurriedly walked towards Jian Wushuang. It's really a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet the second gear here. After being polite, Wu Xing turned to introduce Huang Zhilang. Master Huang, this is the Jian Wushuang I mentioned to you, Xiaoquan. The second gear. Huang Zhilang, as rumored, seems to be very low-key, but in fact the city is very deep. I've heard that there is a big man in Shajia town, but I didn't expect to meet him on my sight. I'm really lucky, Huang Zhilang said very politely, but he and Wu Xing were both puzzled at this time. Why did Jian Wushuang come to Shunshui town? Jian Wushuang also wondered why Wu Xing came to Shunshui town. But it's not hard to guess. 80% of it is because his ambitions are too big, and Qingshuishan and Shunshui town have to cooperate. Fortunately, he was ruthless enough to kill Huang Zhilang in advance. Otherwise, when he frees up his hand, the other party will also make a team of several thousand people. At that time, he has no money or food, but he will not be able to consume these people. There are also some concerns about today's plans. It will definitely make them suspicious. He is the second gear of a small wharf, and at this time, he came to Shunshui town. And he also came to visit the kiln, which is also a kiln that Huang Zhilang frequented, and happened to meet here. No one would believe it would be so coincidental. Who doesn't know that Shajia town is so busy now? How can Jian Wushuang, the key person, come here for entertainment, and Shajia town is more than 100 miles away from here? Came here on horseback, but also exhausted the heart of playing. Both sides have their own guesses, but there is no big guess. It's all up to the point. In fact, this time Qingshuishan cooperated with Master Huang to win Jian Wushuang. I plan to send someone to attack Shajia town at the same time. As long as Shajia town is captured, it will be regarded as killing Jian Wushuang. No matter how big Jian Wushuang's strategy is without Shajia town, it is only a matter of fact. One move to defeat the enemy. From the hands of Wu Xing, Jian Wushuang felt that this person had some ability, and was definitely not mediocre. It's just that seeing Jian Wushuang here at this time made Wu Xing's heart skip a beat. He was also afraid that Jian Wushuang would cooperate with Master Huang to deal with Qingshui Mountain. After meeting each other and saying hello, Huang Zhilang did not invite Jian Wushuang to sit at the same table, but took Wu Xing and He Niu to the main seat. He knew from Wu Xing that Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was excellent, and he also carried a sword. Just as Huang Zhilang sat down here, he winked at his subordinates, and motioned to go back, and call for someone to bring more people. Jian Wushuang also gave an ear a wink, signaling to hurry up. Can't be dragged. Otherwise, there will be no chance to do it. He doesn't know much about the Jianghu people in this world, and he doesn't know how the opponent's force is. In case of failure, it would be difficult for him to leave today. Although it has nothing to do with him on the surface, a ruthless character like Huang Zhilang will never let the tiger go back to the mountain. When he was besieged, although he had the confidence to break through, the follow-up plan failed. For a time, both sides acted simultaneously. However, Jian Wushuang is faster here. The two Jackal brothers have sneaked into the Cuisheng pavilion at this time, and now they are waiting for an opportunity. In order to make the other party move faster, this opportunity Jian Wushuang personally paved the way for the other party. Raising his eyes gave Tang Arrow a signal. It's a pity that this elm head is as observant as an ear, and if he has this ability, he won't be mixed up with a bad school captain. Jian Wushuang was a little helpless, and could only draw attention by himself. After taking a sip of strong wine, stood up staggeringly, and rushed over to the young girl who was dancing gracefully. "Beauty, isn't it cold for you to wear so little?" Jian Wushuang used a tone of disgust to tease a brothel woman. If this is spread out, he will not be able to mix in the future. But now it has to be done. Not only did he move his mouth, but he also moved his hands. With such a fuss, I originally thought that the other party would be panicked, attracting the attention of Huang Zhilang and others, and the two Jackal brothers could also start. Unexpectedly, he hugged the girl in the tool, and the other party didn't resist at all, but instead fell into his arms, with flushed cheeks just a little shy. Why is it different from what I expected? Jian Wushuang was a little panicked. According to what he thought, the other party should not resist, Or should he scream? The first more exciting Ben. 0. Our pigeon must be added to favorites. Chapter 62-69. He was careless and missed, because he forgot that he had a face that was enough to make ordinary women fall in love. Fortunately, it's not his fault. He could only hug the beautiful woman in his arms and walk back to his seat. His expression sank as soon as he sat down. If you can't let go here, you can go upstairs. The girl leaning on Jian Wushuang's chest sounded like a mosquito. Jian Wushuang wiped his face. What is this all about? But at this moment, a thunder suddenly exploded in the sky. Everyone looked up and saw fireworks in full bloom. But they didn't know that Huang Jilong, who was on the main seat, also bloomed a flower at this time. But this flower was blood red. Killed. A cry of exclamation drew everyone's attention to Huang Jilong. I saw Huang Jilong clutching his neck at this time, but the blood was pouring down. This scene frightened the young girls, and some of the guests were so frightened that they wanted to rush out of the backyard. The scene was a mess for a while. Jian Wushuang and others also got up one after another. Then it's time for a good show. And there's even a lot of grievances. I don't know who shouted to catch the assassin, Huang Jilang's disciples, and then drew their swords to surround everyone. At this time, one ear shouted loudly, I just saw that it was the guy who did it, and he will avenge Jiu Yi soon. Hack him to death for me. Among the many guests of the Huang family, a thin middle-aged man rushed over with a knife drawn. If one takes the lead, there is another. One ear's words, coupled with the identification of Huang Jiamank, immediately put Wu Xing and He Niu under siege. You fart. Black news suddenly burst out. Wu Xing on the side was also pale, and he obviously did not expect such a thing to happen. Now I just think with my to know that Jian Wushuang and the others did it, and then framed it for him. But he has nothing to defend. If he leaves now, he will definitely be hunted down by the Huang family. Even if he escapes, he will provoke an opponent for Kingshuishan. If you don't leave, then you will fall into Jian Wushuang's arms. Just when Wu Xing was tangled, the Huang family had already surrounded the backyard. As for the real murderer, he had already left here. The two Jackal brothers are very quick. There was no chance for Huang Jiamank at all. And now only Jian Wushuang and his party and Wu Xing were left. Brother Fang, listen to me. Someone must have framed the two of my brothers. Don't forget that I'm here today on behalf of Qingshui Mountain. Wu Xing was relatively calm. Knowing that he couldn't do anything, he hurriedly stopped the other party. Fang Qingxin, the first guest of the Huang family, pulled out the bright white blade, with anger and sorrow in his eyes. How can you make me believe you? He didn't see who did it just now, but everyone said that it was done by a black cow, so he couldn't turn a blind eye. Soon several sons of Huang Jilong also came. Seeing that his father was dead, he didn't know whether to laugh or be sad, and everyone was a little caught off guard. But now they all understand a truth. Whoever avenges the old man will be able to take over the entire Huang family. Hearing that Kingshuishan did it, regardless of the consequences, he raised his sword and rushed towards Wu Xing and He Niu. Fang Qingxin, as the first guest of the Huang family, is also an old river and lake. Knowing that this matter is rather strange, he hurriedly stopped a few young masters. But at this time, Huang Jilang's sons didn't care about this. They didn't listen to Fang Qingxin at all. He had been under pressure from these doormen before, but now that his father is gone, he will naturally ignore him. Fang Qingxin, my Huang family treats you well. Now the murderer who killed my father is standing there. If you don't take revenge, that's all stop me. Could it be that you colluded with them? Several Huang family juniors have suspicion in their eyes. Some people think that some of their brothers did this thing. Anyway, the truth is useless to them. Only by killing the enemy is the clear choice. Seeing the chaos, Jian Wushuang waved his hand and signaled the others to leave first, so as not to be confused and be splashed with dirty water. Only Tang Eru was left to follow him. Wu Xing and He Niu were back to back, and now they are forcing them to do it. Glancing at Jian Wushuang in the crowd, there was anger and fear in his eyes. If he throws dirty water on Jian Wushuang now, he can also pull the opponent into the game. But he didn't. Because he knew that Jian Wushuang dared to do this. There must be something behind him. Now there is only one chance to survive. That is to cooperate with Jian Wushuang. Wu Xing immediately shouted. Brother Wushuang, everything is done. It's not good for you to stand by and watch jokes. When he said this, he was not only cooperating with Jian Wushuang, but also pulling Jian Wushuang into the game. It depends on what Jian Wushuang does. In fact, Jian Wushuang also expected this, so let one ear lead the others to go first. He came today, but to win Shenshui town. Just watching a joke is not enough. Looks like you have to do it. Jian Wushuang raised his hand and rushed out with his sword drawn. The first one to kill was Fang Qingxin. This guy is deeply entrenched in the Huang family and is also on the eradication list. Seeing him make a move, Wu Xing and He Niu also counterattacked and took the initiative. Anyway, it's all black, and I don't care about more blood. The manpower arranged by Jian Wushuang outside also rushed in at this time. It was a slashing at the Huang family. After a stick of incense, the backyard has become hell. The corpses on the ground were mixed with blood and water. Both Jian Wushuang and Tang Eru were covered in blood, as were Wu Xing and He Niu. Both of them have good martial arts, especially He Niu, who he has experienced before. Second block, the cavalry is here too. You can go to the Huang's house at any time. He walked in after seeing that everyone fell to the ground. Well, let Wang take the helm. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. The current Huang family, although there are still several hundred guests. But Huang Zhilong died, and so did Fang Qingxin. Several younger members of the Huang family, who were fighting for power, also died. Those gatekeepers are useless, so it's just right for Wang Luan to go. As for this black pot, it is King Shushambane Bay. Brother Wu, are you going back to Qingshui Mountain now? Or are you going back to Shajia town with me to form a coastal guard force? I have no choice. Wu Xing smiled bitterly. He is now carrying the matter of collaborating with Jian Wushuang to kill Huang Zhilong. And he must be suspected of returning to Qingshui Mountain. The black bull next to him hasn't responded yet. He is the most confused now. Why did you cast the small pier all of a sudden? But now the matter has come to an end. And since he was originally a follower of Wu Xing, it is not easy to ask openly. In the follow-up, Jian Wushuang asked Wang Luan to clean up. This is also a time to accumulate prestige. It was useless to him, but it was too useful to Wang Luan. So do it yourself. Jian Wushuang took Wu Xing and the two back to Shijiaku. Start preparations for going to Qingzhou town to train troops in 2 days. Chapter 6270. With the addition of Wu Xing, some small details do not need Jian Wushuang to do. All he needs to do is sit in the rear. The rest was left to Wu Xing and Wang Luan. 2 days passed in a flash. Shenshui town was taken down, and Wu Xing even wrote to Qingshui Mountain to persuade him to surrender. After winning Qingshui Mountain, the entire Binhai County is basically within their grasp. This is Jiangguo's back road. If they were controlled by them, the first to panic would be those powerful people in Jiang country. It's just that they haven't realized it yet. Even the movement in Yongqing was very small. But next they will see a whole new force. 2 days later, Jian Wushuang personally took the carefully selected 5,000 young men to Qingzhou town, and took Xiang Yang with him. He also wanted to try whether Xing Luo was here or not. If he was, he might be able to get it out. It's a pity to think too much. After a month of marriage, Xing Luo was not allowed to show up. Jian Wushuang completely dismissed the idea, and even Xiang Yang gave up. He was completely bound to Yang instructor, and he was very careful when training troops and horses. After all, this was his own power. In just 1 month, the 5,000 young men had become 5,000 guards. Although it has not yet produced much combat power, the numbers reported are also very bluffing. King Shuishan, who was still hesitant at first, turned his back. Since then, the small pier no longer exists. It was replaced by the Coast Guard. The bandits from Qingshui Mountain were successfully received, and the team grew stronger again. Now, whether it is military affairs or the plan to win Yongqing, Jian Wushuang does not need to do it in person. It also made him happy and relaxed. If it was in the past, I am afraid that he was in retreat. But now he can only read books behind closed doors. I read some ancient books collected from all over the world, especially for some anecdotes and secrets. Jian Wushuang is one that has not fallen. There are also many interesting things to see. Candle Dragon Mountain. There is a towering mountain in the west of Binhai County. It is rumored that a candle dragon has appeared here. No matter the divine beasts that have appeared in the material realm, the candle dragons can be regarded as a group with extremely strong bloodline power. The candle dragon can appear, indicating that there are some treasures that attract the other party. Anyway, I was bored, so Jian Wushuang was going to take a look. Now the Coast Guard is on the right track. With the big granary of Shenshui town, they can keep gathering people. The refugees alone have received more than 30,000 people, and the second batch of young adults has gathered more than 8,000 people. A group of people is sent every month. There were 30,000 to 50,000 horses in the first year. Maybe it was really possible, but it was a pity that there were no war horses, otherwise, a cavalry could be formed. It is a pity that most of Binhai County is surrounded by mountains, which is not suitable for raising horses, and it is difficult to deploy cavalry. He simply didn't bother. Anyway, all he wanted was a bluffing amount. Use this as a bargaining chip to approach the little Liang Wang. On the other hand, Xiang Yang has now been integrated into the mortals. Jian Wushuang did not remind the other party. In fact, it is not bad to be able to integrate into it in the mortal world. Maybe it's all down to that mortal woman. The next morning, Jian Wushuang asked people to prepare a group of fast horses and left Qingzhou town alone, running all the way towards Candle Dragon Mountain. The distance of 100 miles took almost 5 hours, and it was not until the afternoon when the sun was about to go down that I came to the range of Candle Dragon Mountain. He couldn't go shopping today, he could only find a nearby village to rest for one night. But after searching for a long time, I couldn't find a village to settle down. It was surrounded by weeds, entwined with bushes. There was no way. The sky was already dark, so he found a flat ground and prepared to rest on the spot for the night. As night fell, there was a constant noise in the bushes. Jian Wushuang also lit the fire. The weather at this time was not cold. It could only be said that it was a little cold. The bonfire was only to disperse the beasts and relieve the stomach by the way. He walked in a hurry, and he didn't bring dry food. His stomach was screaming in the middle of the night. Fortunately, in the dead of night, I heard the sound of water flowing. It should be a stream flowing down from the mountain. Jian Wushuang held the torch and heard the sound, thinking of catching a few fish to fill my stomach. But when he set the torch to go into the water, he saw a figure in white floating in the water. At night, Jian Wushuang was startled by this. Although he has experienced a lot, but now a mortal body, accompanied by the howl of beasts, in this desolate and populated creek, seeing a pale figure, it is inevitable to tremble in the heart. With a little shrewdness he returned to shore again. The body floating in the water drifted downstream along the current. He took a deep breath, and was not hungry anymore. It seems not dead. Jian Wushuang's eyes moved, and he went into the water and fished the body back. When he was dragged to the shore, he realized that the other party was a daughter. He was wearing men's clothing. He didn't care so much. He directly carried the other party on his shoulders and returned to the campfire. Looking at the other's bulging belly, she knew that she didn't drink less water. There is an old saying in the common people called saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda. Jian Wushuang is immortal now, and he is not exempt. If you can save someone's life, you will still help. After all, there is nothing to lose to him. Laying the woman flat on the grass, he squeezed the opponent's chest a few times, and the woman in white immediately coughed a few times, choking out the water weeds out of her mouth. If you can spit out the water, you can basically survive. Looking at the pale smiling face of the other party with the help of the bonfire, Jian Wushuang felt a little familiar, but he couldn't name him. After repeating it several times, the other party's lower abdomen calmed down. Jian Wushuang took her to the bonfire to avoid catching a cold, while he leaned against the stone, holding the sword in both hands and squinting slightly, waiting for the dawn. The night was long and peaceful. Early morning. Jian Wushuang went to the stream as early as possible, took a shower, and caught a few grass carp hiding in the crevices of the stones. Thought about going back and roasting it for a while, so that I could feed my stomach. Just when he returned to the unextinguished bonfire with the fish, he found that the woman in white woke up, and the other party just took off his shirt and was drying the clothes with the embers. Looking at the opponent's uncovered back, Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment, and the fish in his hand fell. When the woman heard the sound, she turned her head quickly. When she saw him, her eyes widened. She quickly wrapped her clothes around her chest, and her eyes also revealed a sharpness. Seeing the man in front of him staring at her with a foolish expression, the woman in white immediately got furious, stood up immediately and scolded. "If you dare to look again, this palace will gouge your eyes." She held her claws in both hands, and the stone on the ground was directly sucked into her hands, and she smashed it directly into Jian Wushuang's chest. Jian Wushuang didn't have time to react, and was directly smashed to the ground. But he still wanted to look up. Chapter 6271. Chapter 6271. Wanlu reappears because on the opponent's back, Jian Wushuang saw a totem. It was a trembling tree. Wanlu Shenmu. You will never forget. That's why I was so surprised I kept staring. The woman in white didn't know, and thought that Jian Wushuang was guilty of lust. How capable do I think you are, that's all? The woman in white sneered. Jian Wushuang covered his chest with one hand, ignoring the pain, and asked, "How did the Wanlu Shenmu on your back come from?" Looking at the other party's methods, it is absolutely extraordinary, and it must have some relationship with Shenmu. You recognize? The woman in white frowned. She didn't expect the person in front of her to recognize the mysterious willow tree on her back. Answer my question first. Jian Wushuang is very tough. On the contrary, this made the woman in white a little surprised. An ordinary mortal dared to talk to him like this, and he couldn't help but sneer. It's not up to you now. The woman in white took out a small wooden tube from her waist, pulled it towards the sky, and a fiery red beam shot into the sky. After a while, the sound of hooves could be heard in the distance. Jian Wushuang also recovered at this time. He didn't know the identity of the other party, but he knew that if he fell into the hands of the other party, he would probably be severely tortured. Before the pedestrian arrived, he turned over and rushed directly into the bushes. The woman in white just wanted to chase, but there was a shock from her chest, and she spit out a mouthful of blood, obviously injured. At this time, the sound of hooves in the distance was also approaching. After seeing the woman in white, he quickly turned over and dismounted, and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, bring someone in to search, be sure to find him." "Yes. Remember, be alive." As ordered, the group gave up their horses, and rushed into the bushes with their swords on their shoulders. The white-robed woman's eyes flashed with suspicion and surprise. It was obvious that the other party was just an ordinary person, but knowing the mysterious willow tree on her back must have something to do with her life experience. So be sure to grab Jian Wushuang. After instructing her men, she got on a fast horse and left Candle Dragon Mountain with the rest of the people, because there are more important things to do, and Jian Wushuang suffered here. He entered the bushes and ran all the way, and went directly to the depths of Candle Dragon Mountain, without letting go of the pursuers behind him. These people are all amazing. Although they are mortals, they are powerful, and they are definitely not comparable to those bandits and bandits. Not like Jianghu people. This made Jian Wushuang very curious about the identity of the other party. So he deliberately left a loophole, and let the other party split up to catch him, then took the opportunity to scratch his tongue. The dazzling blade rested on the opponent's neck. Jian Wushuang said in a low tone, "Who is the woman in white just now? Honestly, I can give you a way to survive. Don't think about it." The person he held hostage actually wiped his neck, which caught Jian Wushuang by surprise. Not afraid to die, and so much force, It made Jian Wushuang even more curious about the identity of the other party. But unfortunately there is no way to inquire now, so he can only enter Candle Dragon Mountain to hide. At night, he finally got rid of the other party. And he also entered the desolate Candle Dragon Mountain. The terrain here is complicated, and it is easy to get lost. Fortunately, he has a good sense of direction, and he did not lose his direction, and moved slowly towards the mountain. It's just that my stomach is rumbling, and I can't find any food. After persevering for a night, he chose to go down the mountain during the day, and went out of the Candle Dragon Mountain from the other end, go towards Qingshui Mountain. This trip to Candle Dragon Mountain, although there is no substantial receipt, but seeing the Wanlu Shenmu on the back of the woman in white, he is even more convinced that this world has a relationship with Wanlu, and even the prophet. Thinking of the previous dream, he was even more convinced. This world is related to Wanlu Shenmu. It is also related to the prophet, and even more related to him. Because he knew the prophet helped him many times, not to mention Wanlu Shenmu. The things that had been taken away by Weiss appeared here. He had entered the Wanlu Shenmu, and it was also the place where Dan Bao obtained the Tao. Now that he appeared in this world, 80% of it had something to do with him. It's just that now he is still ordinary, unable to find the mystery. This also made him even more eager to return to the path of cultivation. Only by regaining strength can we figure out the secret here. So much so that when he arrived at Qingshui Mountain, he was also a mysterious person. Stationed here is the Black Bull. There are also 3,000 soldiers and horses that have just been trained, all commanded by the Black Bull. Each of these 3,000 people used a mountain axe, best for close combat. It is also to resist the troops from Yongcheng. There are still several thousand officers and soldiers in Yongcheng, and they can't be careless. Seeing that he was mysterious, Heiniu stepped forward and asked, "I heard that you went to Candle Dragon Mountain. What's the matter? You are unhappy alone. Could you be bullied?" "You won't understand." Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly, and then changed the subject. "How is it recently? How is the movement in Yongcheng? Are they just watching our development like this?" In today's Binhai County, almost every town has their people. The original mountain masters have now won the important towns on their respective sites, and each holds the front men and horses. The entire coastal army, if all counted, would have already exceeded 10,000 people, and the official roads between the towns were also taken down. Yongcheng is now an isolated city. Although the people below did not say anything about rebelling, they also violated their yin and yang, and did not listen to their orders. I am afraid that one by one is as anxious as the ants on the hot pot. Don't say it. A few dignitaries came to Yongcheng a few days ago, and they all came to give money. They said that it would be convenient for the waterway officials to travel in the future. As long as their merchant ships can go to sea smoothly, how can Binhai County be tossed? Won't take care of you. Hearing Heiniu's answer, Jian Wushuang also smiled. It's almost as he guessed, just faster than he thought. He originally thought that the other party would surrender to appease him, but he would not send troops to suppress it anyway. Now it seems that recruiting and surrendering are exempted, and we can directly start discussing cooperation. But now they want to talk, they don't talk anymore. The merchant ships in the past are still won, forcing Yongcheng to divert the road. But after the diversion, the speed is very slow, and the wind and waves are strong, and it is easy to sink the ship. And these things have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang, and he is too lazy to care. At noon, King Shuishan slaughtered chickens and sheep, and treated Jian Wushuang well. In the past few days, he was also starving and fainted on the mountain, and Jian Wushuang was not polite. The things in my mind were also thrown out of my mind. He felt that those things should not be rushed. Delaying 1 day or 2 years is not really time. A retreat in the outside world starts in a million epochs. At this time, he was still waiting, and the only thing he was anxious about was cultivation. In Qingshui Mountain Juyi Hall, he was drinking with Heiniu when a sudden report came from outside. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.